Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
And we are live on a Friday afternoon. Mikey McNuggets is on the stage. We'll hear from him in a moment. I think I just heard him say, I hope he doesn't look too fat. I mean, is there anything more obnoxious than a skinny guy talking about being fat? Brad knows the deal. He can't talk about being fat.
In the midst of a weight gain challenge.
I mean,
that
weight
we
gain
have
challenge.
exactly
right. Let me start with something here, guys, before we go around the panel. And I'm not going to say who I am because you know who the freak I am, right? Let me say this. This Baker Mayfield nonsense. I feel like people in the national media, like a lot of sports talk radio hosts around the country that are national hosts, they don't actually watch a lot of football games, I don't think. Because they have not seen Baker Mayfield play. I can't imagine. How many times have I heard a national broadcaster say, well, the one thing Baker is he's accurate?
Lie.
Has Baker ever been accurate in the NFL?
Lies.
Never.
No.
Never. I don't care. And don't bring up college because I don't give a rat's ass what he did in college because there are a lot of quarterbacks in college who are accurate, and Baker was one of them, but he's never been accurate in the NFL. One of the lowest completion percentages in the NFL since coming into the league. He's thrown more picks than anybody but one player. He's had more total turnovers than anybody. Baker Mayfield doesn't do anything great. Good riddance. Have fun in Carolina.
Well, let me start. All right, let me get right off into it, man. I'm your boy G. Bush, and let's talk about this thing right here. There's a lot of people I've been hearing saying this. You not a Browns fan if you talking about, and I don't go to the Browns card. If you talking about how I'm rooting for Baker week 1, you might as well go ahead and switch your colors up, dog. Because even when Odell Beckham Jr. went to the Rams, if they was playing the Browns, peace out, homie. You ain't a Browns fan.
And I'm Brad Sellers, and I'm here to say I'm listening. Tick, tick. That's the clock ticking. Is that the NFL in the background trying to cut a deal with the Browns and the Watson camp to bring this thing to a head? We're soon to find out here.
And I'm Mikey McNuggets. Feels good to say it. I'll tell you, Bull is way louder in person than he is from behind the set. And I was not ready for the decibel levels in my ear, Bull.
Let's
but I'm
go.
excited.
Pull it together, will you?
Let's do it.
Mikey looks a little like, no offense, you look a little like a Muppet in that chair because you're so tiny.
Oh, I'm sitting next to 7'1" Brad Sellers.
Look
That's
at him
not
in the big picture there. He looks really so small.
Talking about fat.
You know.
Y'all put me next to the 7'4".
I hope I
That's
don't
not,
look
that's
fat.
Not fair.
And you one of them dudes that know how much you weigh to a T. What you like 143.2?
Just come on, don't short
Man,
me like
come
that.
on. This is the slim side over here.
Yeah, right.
Relax.
We're the heavyweights.
This
You
is
guys
the
are
slim
In
side.
You guys are
a
the
2-on-2
lightweights.
basketball game, I'm
Slim
taking me
side
and Brad
here.
over. You put any two people in that chair in the media. Me and Brad taking y'all every day of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ain't
Every
doing
day.
that. We're not doing that.
What, playing basketball?
No, we ain't
Nah.
doing that. We do cornhole toss. It don't matter.
Brad, how good are you still? How good are you still?
What, hooping?
I'm boxing you out.
Oh, no, listen. You can't box me. I can't spin. Spin. Still light on my feet, bull.
I didn't really
Still
think
light
I could
on my
box
feet.
you. I mean, you got 15 inches on me.
The little jump hook, he still got the hook. Don't never go away.
By the way, even if I was somehow in a miracle fantasy land able to box you out, you could just go like this. You wouldn't even have to
Here's the
jump.
story.
You don't realize how tall Brad is till he stands up.
Right.
Yeah,
And then he just
that's
keeps
true.
going, and everyone else stands up, and
That's
then he
true.
just keeps elevating and
Yeah,
elevating
yeah,
and
yeah.
elevating.
Camouflaged over here.
Yeah. The seat.
Yeah.
He's the only one that makes these chairs look normal size. Like
That's-
they
yeah.
envelop me, they envelop you.
Yeah.
We have Jason Lloyd in the middle.
Anthony,
they
this is
envelop
where
him.
you tell us to wrap that up and keep it moving.
Yeah, I got you.
Let's in fact do that. Let's keep it moving.
Let's get to the
Baker
hot
Mayfield
takes.
is gone, but not quite yet forgotten at this point. There have been some people that have suggested that Baker is not going to start week 1. I was just on with Nick Wilson, our buddy in Carolina, who's going to be taking over my old job here in Cleveland. Congratulations to him. So, guys, who do we think has a better chance to start week 1? Deshaun Watson or Baker? It's got to be Baker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even if you take a look at it, even if Deshaun Watson gets some favorable judgings, right? Even if they help him out a little bit, to me, just because I know what the climate is and I understand the way things going, it's like 4 games. If they give him 4, I'm like this. I'll slow
That's a
clap
huge
it up,
win.
and the Browns will be ecstatic about that. But I mean, 0 games is like 0 games would be like, wow, we're making progress in this country.
Well, hold on.
Wow. With 0 games, this is crazy. You're not gonna give him none? I definitely think Baker Mayfield has a better chance. All he got to do is beat Sam Darnold out, right? They may play it out like it's a competition, but you don't make that move a couple weeks before camp to bring somebody in if you thought you had somebody. But for me, I think Deshaun Watson is, he's on a better path. He's on a better path than he was 2 weeks ago. But I still think if you had to put my money on it, I say Baker.
Well, I say this. I think that the fact that, Deshaun Watson's camp and the NFLPA is playing it hardball on the other side. I mean, before I used to think that the no games was going to be unrealistic venture to get to. Mm-hmm. You know, and the more I listen to it, I think they're targeting like 0 games. So I would have said 2 weeks ago, I would have said I don't think that he's going to escape with a light slap on the wrist. Mm-hmm. They look like they're playing all hardball and throwing all the chips in here to go with 0 games.
Ultimately, I don't think it could be 0, only because even Rusty Hardin admitted he violated the personal conduct policy. Even his own lawyer admitted that in 3 of those cases. So I don't see how it could be 0.
So what is the personal conduct policy?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know it written word for word. But just the going, even if it's like going to a prostitute, that's breaking the code.
I don't think he did that, did he?
Well, but if you are paying for sex, then essentially you are.
He never coerced.
I don't think
he never.
I don't think.
Right. Even if he didn't force or coerce, if he did pay for sex,
he paid for the massage.
He paid for sex. He paid for massage.
All I know is his lawyer said he violated the conduct policy.
The question Bill asked, though, was Baker or Watson.
Right.
Earlier.
Yeah.
Baker has to beat out Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold saw ghosts on a football field less than 2 years ago.
Right.
Watson has to beat the NFL. He's got to be the NFL or Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Give me the chances of Baker beating Sam Darnold 100 out of 100 times.
Well, I don't think
Watson beating the
so
quote-unquote
Mike, I don't
NFL.
think that Baker Mayfield's going to beat out Darnold just because of the timing of it, right?
You don't think he is?
No, I'm saying for game 1. Right?
Oh.
I could see very well seeing that Darnold, who has the upper hand because he's been in the system, and then play it out. And I could see Baker Mayfield doing his usual, riding in on a stallion, right? And it's like, I'm here, right?
Right.
So the same way he started out with us, riding in on the stallion on that night, right?
Yeah, 4
and
days.
then to your point, Bull, I was watching Shannon Sharp and Skip today, right?
Yeah.
And so
you were the one.
And so I was the one.
Yeah.
And so Skip is showing. He's a Baker bro, right?
Oh, he's a leader of the fan club.
But he's an OU guy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So he's an OU guy.
Yeah.
He's showing all of Baker's hits, right? And then
Yeah.
Shannon came back onto the flip side, G, on your take. Let me show you his inaccuracy here. Bingo, 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 bingo. He's not the guy. But see, it depends on what lens you're looking at here, right? So I don't think he can beat Darnold out. I think he ultimately beats Darnold out, but I don't think it's week 1.
So the question is then,
Interesting.
who starts the game first? Baker or Watson?
Sue Robinson gonna tell us that.
I look at the 4 games, but here, just to kind of go back to it a little bit, man. We're gonna talk about this news that came out a little bit, man.
Yeah.
And this news right here, this is 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row, they gave you something. Now, last week we heard the triumvirate: no violence, no coercion, no force. Right? We heard those words. We like, ooh, that's kind of crazy. This week they talk about they got tape recordings. This right now, they might want to go back and get Busby and ask him for his cliff notes of how he got that money, because he was winning the case. He was winning in public. He had the HBO.
Yeah.
He kept bringing them out, trickling them. He got the 20 out of the 24 to settle. He got that bag. Y'all might want to call him up, because right now the NFL is looking crazy, and 5 of those cases out of the 12 have no force, no court. It's looking rough.
And I'll tell you something, G. First of all, it's like Busby it was a relay race. Busby had the baton and a huge lead, and then he went to transfer the baton to the league, and they dropped the baton. And everybody passed him.
Well, because Busby's playing in the court of public opinion, where it's loosey-goosey, right? I don't have to give you any facts. I give you a bunch of innuendo, and we're going to run with it,
but
right?
there was enough there that the 20 people that he settled with the 20
as you
people.
start digging into weeds here, yesterday they said, so the 5 cases that they presented in the hearing, the 7 that they left out, they said one of them was really problematic because the brother of one of the accusers was like in here basically telling all lies, right? And so they were like, So this is
Or it was the son, wasn't it? The son.
the son.
Yeah.
So
Right.
when you sit here and get all the facts out, because that's where they are now. They were in a place where you had to actually present some facts, right? And I think that's part of the problem here.
And
G.
Deshaun Watson has said the whole time, and we thought to a point he was kind of looking like, man, he was really steadfast on this. He said, when all the facts come out, I feel like I'll be exonerated and I'll be able to clear my name from what is said has been happening with the allegations. And he said that from Jump Street, even after he settled. And as we start to see these trickle, because here's the thing about, you can lie to the media.
Yeah.
You can insinuate, you can do all kind of other stuff, but guess what you can't do? You can't lie under oath.
Yeah,
Well,
you
some
can,
people
you
do.
can,
You
but
can,
you're-
but-
there's a
but
It's
problem.
against the law to do it.
Penalties.
I don't buy that Deshaun Watson's ever going to be exonerated. There'll be people that won't believe him no matter what. I still believe in a lot of these cases there's probably some gray area where the women might have felt they were being pressured. He didn't realize they were feeling that. I think that's entirely possible. And so, but in the end, at this point, what most of us care about is when will he be back on the field? And it does seem like the tea leaves are changing and that maybe he's going to be back sooner than later. The Dan Graziano report, we referenced it briefly yesterday. Here it is. Here's some of the speculation. NFL still wants an indefinite suspension, initial push for an entire season. But here's the one. Dan Graziano said on ESPN that the league may be open to the possibility of cutting the suspension down to 12 games. He would still have to apply for reinstatement, but that they would be open to considering out of 12 games. Guys, I think, and I know, Mike, you look like you want to jump in on this, I don't think Watson's camp, I don't think the NFLPA will agree to any suspension that includes he has to reapply. Because I think the NFLPA and Watson's camp feel like there's some momentum with them in the court of public opinion after it was mostly with the women for a while. And they feel like if Judge Robinson gives a suspension that is 8 games or less, and we don't know that she'll do that, but if she gives a suspension 8 games or less, and the league tries to Bigfoot her, the league's going to now look bad instead of Watson. Whereas if they make it a suspension where he has to apply, then the league can rule then, and it's long after. They want the league, the NFLPA and Watson's camp want Robinson's, whatever she says,
ruling to be final.
Final. That's it. They want to move on after that.
Yeah, because if there's an appeal process and he has to reinstate,
Right.
There's
Then
no
it's a
end
little
in
more
sight.
hush-hush.
It pushes it back again,
Yes.
and next thing you
I
know,
know.
12 games in, Watson applies for reinstatement. The
Yeah.
NFL says, we're not ready. It
Right.
leaves the door open for new information
Yes.
to come out, for new details to come out that may paint Watson in a bad picture and extend whatever the initial suspension that they agree upon, because it wouldn't be through ruling with Robinson. So by even giving the option of reinstatement, it just extends this process that much longer. There's no way Watson and his camp are going to agree to it.
Be clear, Mikey. The NFL wants to get away from it as far as they can, as quick as they can. The Players Association is not going for a 12-game suspension and apply for reinstatement. You can forget that, right? Because if you do that, we just go to all-out war, and all the daggers are going to come out.
Yep.
It does nobody any good here. The thing that I always think about is this. Sometimes when you're both caught in a pinch point, you better try to negotiate your way out of here to something that works. Now, the NFL stance publicly has to be, in my opinion, I'm bringing the hammer, I'm bringing the weight.
Right.
I cannot relinquish that position in public, right? But I can walk in after and say, we have just reached an agreement, G. The Players Association and Watson's camp to a number that we both can live with here,
Right.
And so I think as time goes on here, Bull,
Yeah.
that this is the inner workings of politics behind the scene, right?
Yeah.
Because smart people here, they're smart people on both sides. Somebody has to be saying, wait a minute, this is a train wreck coming here.
I think what's interesting, guys, in the court of public opinion is that you're talking about, it's a mix here. And you guys have both referenced this. There's a lot of people in the black community that are keeping an eye on this situation and feel like black people always get screwed in the court system. And here in this case, Deshaun Watson, in Texas, not known for their being fair in terms of race, exonerated. Well, I shouldn't say exonerated him. That's not fair.
Two grand juries
Two
declined
grand
to
juries
press charges.
said they couldn't bring up charges. They didn't exonerate him. And so people are watching this. Now, if you have Sue Robinson, a black woman, say, I think Deshaun Watson's suspension should be 4 games. So she's a woman and a person of color. And so if they Bigfoot her to give a longer suspension to a black man who's been not exonerated, I gotta stop saying that, who's been cleared of or not brought charges against him in Texas, I think it looks really bad in that vein.
Let me just, I'll just be clear about it. It looks really racist.
Yes.
Like, let's just be honest with it. Like, it don't look bad. It just looks racist.
You're right.
And we'll drill down on it. When Busby and Harden were arguing over whether or not that Deshaun Watson did anything to violate the public or player conduct rule, right? Personal conduct. Well, we already know that in court, they've had to say that yes, Robert Kraft violated that same clause, but we didn't give him anything. Do you understand? Now how does that sound? And then we even have people coming on radio stations justifying that. Well, it is what it is. No. We're not gonna play that it is what it is, because listen, there's a lot of people that have not forgotten this. When they was kneeling all across the country to police brutality, the league was not kind to players. They were not kind. And as soon as George Floyd happened, Roger Goodell wants to, let's get up here.
Empty statements.
Hey, you know what? The league stands with. No, you didn't. You act like we don't. Why do you people feel like we are dumb? Like we don't see this stuff happening in real time? So the thought process is this. We've been talking about it from Jump Street. These aren't new things coming out. There's documents and stuff saying that there was some discrepancies in some of their statements to begin with. The problem is this. The NFL wants to continue to act like they have the leverage in this situation. They don't. Because guess what? If Sue Robinson comes back and says, hey, this is the judgment, what is it going to look like if you go over her head and trump that?
Right.
You can't do that.
So I just want to get to what Bull said in here. So speaking from the black community side, the black community is not a monolith. It's not singular in thinking.
Fair.
Right? It is not. It is, but what it really wants to see is some fairness. Right.
Yep.
Because we don't know what Deshaun Watson did. I have no idea. Right.
He knows and they know.
Right.
That's
I have no idea what he
Right.
did. We just want. I think when I sum it up for what I hear from folks that live in my neck of the woods, right? They just want the process to be fair. And then at the end of the day, if something happened and he needs to be punished for it,
So be it.
that's what it is.
Right.
That's what they want. Just fairness. Right. But
Yeah.
when it looks like, to your point, that if you're jerry-rigging it behind the scene, right? Because we have seen this happen, right? I watched Colin Kaepernick, whose stance was basically about police brutality, get hijacked, right? It got hijacked.
Took the whole thing.
And he went from that to about the flag, and I'm like, that's not what he's talking about. He's just talking about what played out in Minneapolis before it played out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And we, just from the standpoint of this is what we see. Do not discount that. This is what we see.
Right.
And so they just want it to be fair. And then at that, we'll live with it from there.
Right.
Equal treatment under the law,
Right.
under the policy.
And if you hire Sue Robinson and make it seem, and she's a very qualified, credible person, and make it seem like she has this power, and then you take away that power by Bigfooting her, it makes it seem like you were using her as a pawn.
Right.
And that makes you look even worse.
And even with saying that, Sue Robinson might come back, and what we have to take in consideration too is it could be longer than we think, and we gotta
Absolutely.
live with it.
Be clear.
Absolutely.
Be clear. Sue Robinson is in the crosshairs here. In baseball, the squeeze play is on.
Oh, yeah.
Right? She's in the middle of the squeeze play.
No doubt.
Now we're going to see how she gets out of the rundown here. This is what's happening here.
Absolutely. And I think the conversation changes if her penalty is stricter than we expect.
Yes.
I think we're starting to feel like it's
Right.
not going to be.
Right.
But it could
because
go the other
league-
way.
But if it goes the other way, we're going to be like, well, okay. I mean, I think I'm going to be more okay with it
Right.
if she puts the penalty rather than Goodell in the NFL.
And the tide is seemingly turning in Watson's favor in the
Right,
court of
it feels
civil,
that way, yeah.
public opinion.
Public
but
opinion.
I read something in Sportico I thought was really interesting the other day about Robinson's process in getting the briefs, taking her time, making sure that her judgment is ironclad. So whether
Right.
it's Watson's camp or the NFL's camp who wants to come back against it, they're going to have to prove that everything she's collected over the last 2 weeks with the written briefs, the hearings, all the testimonies,
Well,
is
she
inaccurate.
was doing
and,
stuff before that
well,
too.
But
I
I'm
mean,
saying
there was interviews.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Within that realm, though, the evidence to overturn her judgment is going to be so prevalent and so over the top
Yeah.
that who cares if she takes so long? I'd rather her
That's
take her
true.
time
I-
and make the right judgment than rush to something that's going to be overturned or
In the
inclusive.
normal process of arbitration, this is normal. So the judge, as she hears the case, she is making her notes and figuring out which direction she's going. The briefs at the end are just really for you to make your case, your final play at her and say, okay, this is what I think. And she goes through that, and then she sifts through it. She's going to have render a decision here. And I would say this. Her decision is based in fact, but she's really one of the few people that's heard all the facts. Right? We haven't heard the facts.
That's true.
We've heard bits and pieces.
Listen, there's nothing we know that would give you any reason to question her credibility. Fair?
No.
Right.
Okay?
No.
So whatever she decides, even though, you've been saying all along maybe he shouldn't be suspended or it should be low. I've been saying it should be fairly low. A lot of other people in this town have been saying it should be high, blah,
Right.
blah, blah. If she comes with a high suspension or low, whatever, I'm gonna
okay
give
with
her
it.
complete.
I'm
Whatever
okay
she
with it.
decides, I'm good with.
That's why I try to be objective in the thing. Yeah, we would like Watson to play, but at the end of the day, if she comes back with what she's coming back with, she's heard all the testimony, she's heard all the briefings, she's heard people stand in front of her and have to tell under oath what happened.
And as far as we know, she's got no agenda like the
She ain't no
NFL does.
agenda. It'll suck. We might have to see you next year, Deshaun.
Was she appointed by the NFL? Did the NFL appoint her to this position, or how did they come to?
They hired her.
They agreed to
In collective
But with
bargaining, right?
her background and her credibility, I can't imagine she would take this to be a pawn for the NFL. There's just no reason to believe that's the case, so I'm going to trust.
That's not what I was implying. I was curious how she got in this position.
Yeah, I mean, I think she got hired she was hired by them. But
Well, I think when you
hired
when
is
you're,
not the right
when you're
word.
in collective bargaining, then they agreed on the process, and they ultimately, like when I'm in an arbitration case, I get to both parties get to agree on who the arbiter is.
Right.
So they had to probably do that.
Yeah. Hired was a bad choice of words. All right, guys, coming up in a little bit, what is Baker going to have to do for the Browns to regret this trade? Is there something? We'll get to that in a minute, but it's time for the top five.
Yes, it is. We're going to
Bring in
do the
Anthony.
top
Anthony,
five.
so Mikey's on the panel today, so Anthony is producing the show today. Can we get a shot of Anthony, or we're not going to Anthony?
You don't have to show my face. It's okay. But as
there
far
he
as
is.
Ultimate Top 5,
There he is.
I'm glad he
let
shaved
me
today.
get the video pulled up real quick. All right. Ultimate Top 5 is
Come on, Anthony.
Ultimate Top 5 is sponsored by Roundstone Insurance.
There we
Roundstone
go.
is a better alternative
Just get my
for
face.
affordable quality health care. For more than a decade, Roundstone Insurance has been saving small and mid-sized businesses money on average for 20%. That's right, 20%. Contact us today to learn how you can get great healthcare benefits for your employees love and save money too.
Roundstone.
I've always wanted to do that.
There you go.
I can't do it behind
so
the
our
booth.
top 5 is going to be a little bit different today.
family.
Go ahead.
I was watching.
Our top 5 is going to be a little bit different today. These are our top 5 Baker tweet memes. Brought to you by Brianna, actually. I'm just going to be calling them out here.
Oh, okay.
In my
Brianna's
order.
got the top 5.
All right, so Steve, we can
Baker
go ahead with
memes.
number 5. It's Baker Mayfield and Robbie Anderson meeting up for the first time, and it's a shot from Step Brothers when the Step Brothers meet.
All-time great comedy, by the way. Mount Rushmore of comedies.
Tweeted by Shooter McGavin, of course.
Yeah, I don't know much about the beef, but I love this movie. I had to pick it.
Okay.
It gave me a good laugh.
That's good.
All right, we can. All right, this next one, Bernie Kosar tweeting him good luck to Carolina. Meeting Bernie when he came in episode 1, great guy.
Yeah.
Just love being nice to Baker.
I saw Bernie get off a funny bus in the flats this weekend.
Really?
Went into the brewery, went to the bathroom, came out, got right back on a funny bus and left.
What is the funny bus? I don't even know what that is.
Honestly, I don't know. It was a funny-looking bus.
Oh, a funny-looking bus.
I don't know, but it was funnybus.com on the back. It really was called Funny Bus. I don't know what it is.
I got to look that up.
Maybe.
He's everywhere.
I was in the flats.
Mikey's everywhere.
He's a single 20-year-old. I mean,
everywhere.
what else is he doing?
I caught him. Never. I don't want you investigating none of my stuff. I seen him in a Lakewood Park.
I was at Collision
I
Bend
can't be
Brewery.
what happens on the funny bus stays on the funny bus.
I wasn't
You
on
can't
the
share
bus. I
that
just saw
here.
him. He got out, used the bathroom, went back on
Bernie
and
was
left.
not on the funny bus. Number 3.
Never saw him. All right, so number 3 is Myles Garrett I love the beef between Myles Garrett and Baker. I think it's so funny.
The fact that we
getting ready.
made that beef up, kinda,
Yeah.
it is a thing, but it is a
real.
Cold War.
Yeah.
It is a
And that's
really
from
Cold
McNeil,
War.
who's got a big
Yeah.
following on Twitter.
We're going to hear from Jason in a few minutes on the Baker Garrett beef.
Yeah,
Interested.
Jason had some interesting stuff.
Well, that's
on that.
legit, huh?
Yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't Baker Miles beef in Jason's article.
But it was related because Stefanski went
Right,
over
it was
to-
more a Stefanski Baker beef.
It's all tied.
But
Okay.
G and I think that there's a Baker Miles beef
Yeah,
too.
there is.
Go ahead, number 2.
Yeah, number 2 is going to be T.J. Watt running Baker Mayfield out of the AFC North. I think it's hysterical the way Baker cowers away from him in this video.
Bro, this is when I knew it was all over. Like this, it was done.
Awkward.
He just was like, man, you trash. Get up out of here. You come on, bro. You was the guy. You the dude. Yeah, it was just done. It's finished. I had to.
That's a good one.
And number 1, you can take it, Steve. It's WWE, Shawn Michael hitting him like Myles Garrett's going to hit Baker Mayfield week 1. I got a soft spot for WWE in my heart. I think it's hysterical.
Hopefully Miles Garrett won't kick him in the head, though.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
That Cleveland Carolina game is probably the #1 game in the country.
It needs to be flexed ASAP.
Flexed.
Yeah.
ASAP.
It should be the
I don't
Thursday
know.
night
Do
game.
other fan bases care as much?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Baker Mayfield is a top 5. Baker Mayfield is almost more popular than Odell Beckham Jr., and I would have never said that prior to Odell leaving.
All
here.
the national shows.
That's all they talk about. Baker
Yeah.
is a top
Well,
5.
but there's been no others. There's nothing else to talk
listen.
about.
But they
Yeah.
had 31 other teams to find stuff
So
to talk
you
about from,
tell
and they
me
still
that
came back to
this
Baker every day.
Carolina Browns game in
it's-
week 1.
Yeah, it's going to be big.
It's going to be massive.
Yeah.
And you got the
And it's
Deshaun
in-
Watson stuff
and
still
it's in
looming
Carolina.
Right, it's in
It
Carolina.
would have been better
Carolina.
if it were here.
too. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
That would have been better because then
great.
you would also had the added thing
Baker-
of the fan reaction. What would the fan
Baker-
reaction be?
But I'm gonna tell you what. They said it earlier. If he throws a couple touches, please believe he's working on his celebrations right
yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, look.
yeah.
He might put a flag down somewhere. By the way, Sam Darnold can't win this job. It's over.
Hey, what is Myles Garrett? Does he have a sack dance?
No.
Because I
Nah,
guarantee
nothing's-
you,
yeah.
Baker's going to go through the tape, find something that Myles Garrett has done in the past, and when he throws his first touchdown, that is exactly what he's going to do to
He
celebrate.
ain't, he's not going to try to rile up Myles
I
Garrett.
would
I don't
just
see.
tell you
That's
this.
not a good call.
If I was Baker and I knew Myles Garrett was on the end, I'd be very, very concerned.
Yeah, he ain't trying to show up Myles
I'd be
Garrett.
very, very
That-
concerned.
Are you checking every protection
would
on the
be
left
very- I'd be
side?
very
That's a bad
concerned.
call out of you,
And,
Mike.
and you know, it's so funny now that he's on the other side. It's kind of like, man, how many balls can we knock down at the line of scrimmage? Can we? How many times is he gonna roll out to the right after he has a clean pocket?
What do you think Lawrence Taylor would have said for the linebacker position, lined behind Baker if they were on the other side? What kind of stuff would Lawrence Taylor be talking?
He
to
would
Baker
talk about eating his children.
no,
I mean, you know,
Seeing his mother,
killing his mom. I don't know what he would have said.
His
It's
grandmother's not off limits. His pastor, deacon, yeah, whatever. Lawrence Taylor, he's. They had to stop for a little bit, put
crazy.
mics on.
How
people.
about what they would have said
For a little
about
bit.
the progressive commercial?
Oh, the progressive
his
stuff.
wife.
Yeah,
I mean,
all that, all
there'd
that.
be no
If you
limit
thought
to that.
Baker wasn't liked around the country now, you go back 20 years to the 90s and the 80s.
Oh.
But
He'd been eviscerated.
I don't know that Baker's not. Baker is very polarizing. There's a lot of people that like Baker.
Oh, but
Yeah,
I
there's
mean
no
the side of the people who don't, though. If you like,
Yeah.
Myles Garrett's not going at him the same way Lawrence Taylor would,
Yeah,
No.
or Deacon Jones, or
Nobody
any of
does-
those crazy
yeah,
guys.
those
from
guys
the
were
80s
like-
and
That-
Bruce
that's a-
Carter.
Bonkers.
That's a difference.
Speaking of bonkers, let's bring Jason Lloyd in from The Athletic. He's kind of I mean, who goes to summer? What do you go to Summer League for? Who gives a crap about Summer League? What are you
That's the first
Let him
question,
talk to
Jason.
him.
Did you sleep last
Talk
night?
to him.
Jay Lloyd.
I'm like,
I haven't been to bed yet.
Yeah, I know.
I'm kidding.
Steve says
I'm kidding.
Jason's on remote. I'm like, where's he on remote? What is he doing? He's going to Summer League. I mean, there's got to be some other reason you're out there. You're going to see strippers or hookers or something. I don't know.
I already wrote that story.
Hey, tell him don't start that. You trying to get out the car situation.
That's true.
He's
His
adding
wife's
to the
still
fire.
mad.
Stop playing.
Hey, Jason, have you seen?
Right?
I know the Retired NBA Players Association having their convention out there this week. Have you seen a bunch of those guys running around here in Vegas?
No, I never left the I never left the pool yesterday, so I haven't seen anyone
See, that's what I'm
yet.
saying. He living the life.
Tough
Oh
assignment.
my God. Well, Jason,
We got we got meetings today at the Athletic. That's why I'm here. We got company-wide meetings all day today. There's a big dinner tonight, and I will make it over. Cavs play today, 5 o'clock, I think it is Eastern, 2 o'clock here. So I'll make it over there and watch a little bit of their game. Nobody really cares, you know. Evan Mobley's not playing his brother. Evan's not on the team. Abaji's here, but I mean, Summer League. See, this is what happens when I'm on remote.
There you go.
Summer League is just an excuse for everyone to come to Vegas and get drunk for a couple days. The entire NBA just descends on this place.
Fair enough. At least you're honest about it. Before we get back with Jason, go ahead, Anthony. Give us a read here.
Yeah, as always, whenever we bring a guest in, it's brought to you by Gridiron Guys Construction. Looking for a local roofer you can trust? Family owned since 2003. The Gridiron Guys have grown to become Northeast Ohio's top-rated roofer. We exemplify work practices, are a valued resource for homeowners, and offer 10-year workmanship warranty. Call 330-573-7967 today for a free estimate of roof inspection.
Gridiron Guys. There you go.
So that's how you got to sell it. He's like, if y'all want those jingles, holler at my man.
Yeah, there you go. I got it covered.
He's on Cameo now, too.
Yes, Jason, I was cursing some guy out for being bad at fantasy football on his Cameo video this morning. Hey, Jason, before we get to the exciting summer league that you're covering, let's get to your column. You wrote a great column. Did it come out this morning or last night? I can't remember exactly.
I actually wrote it on the plane yesterday.
Okay,
it came out yesterday.
Well, I read it this morning, and it was very eye-opening. Some of the Baker. So Jason wrote a column, obviously, about Baker and the Browns and what happened, and in this column, you talk about a meeting that this I did not know. To me, this is news. That Stefanski missed, that he was supposed to be in like the team meeting, going over the game after the Patriot debacle, I believe. And Baker was ticked, but Stefanski was dealing with Myles Garrett, who had kind of thrown the coaches under the bus after that game a little bit. And then Stefanski, like, as you said, be careful what you wish for, because Stefanski was all in after that. And was that, in your mind, when the fraying of this relationship really started to take hold?
Yeah, it's funny, like that one nugget really kind of took off a little bit yesterday, and I guess I should have known better. It surprised me a little bit, but it's any sort of blood in the water now. Everyone's looking for any sort of chum to chew on. And I don't think that there was one thing. In fact, I wrote that. It's really kind of hard to pinpoint where this all sort of deteriorated. That was just one example of something that occurred, and Myles came out after the New England game and said there was no adjustments. And, I don't really think it was that big of a deal. I think Kevin just sort of pulled him aside and said, careful what you say to the media, that sort of thing. But the timing of it, he did miss a meeting with Baker, and Baker was kind of annoyed by it and felt like if you're the play caller, you need to be in every meeting, which is a fair point. But obviously Kevin had something pretty pressing to deal with. And so then Kevin, it's my understanding, Kevin was sort of careful what you wish for, and really sort of shined a light on things that Baker could do to get better. I don't know that necessarily that is what fractured the relationship. I just think it was a combination of a lot of things. The shoulder injury certainly plays a role in this. But I think we've made way too big of a deal over the shoulder injury. I've said that for a long time. Yes, it was significant, but quarterbacks, football players have to play hurt and play through things all the time. And this is just another example of that. The larger point to me that I put in there, and I'd written this before, is his fourth quarter stats, which we talked about when I was on the set last week. They're awful. I think he was 59th in the NFL in fourth quarters throughout his career. That's not the shoulder. That's his career. And last year, the numbers were terrible in the fourth quarter. In week one, Kansas City, he throws the pick. And I was talking to people in the building then and said, that's on 6. Like, he was phenomenal in the Chiefs game for 3.5 quarters. But when you really needed him, where was he? And not to belabor the point, he's gone. It doesn't matter. But those are the reasons why he's not the quarterback here today, more so than that meeting.
Jason, do you feel like the meeting would have blown up in the capacity it did if Stefanski was meeting with someone else other than Myles Garrett? Because there is that kind of rumor out there that Garrett and Baker may not have loved each other so much,
No, I don't think it was just a matter of, Kevin wasn't in that meeting. And again, it's just one meeting. It's all these guys meet all the time. It's just one. It's just the one that I know about. But I don't think the fact that Myles had anything to do with it. I'm not entirely sure Baker knew where Kevin was. He just knew he wasn't in the room.
Jason, I look at this thing and you tell me if I'm wrong on this one. from the outside looking in, when people say what went wrong or how it happened, I look at what Baker Mayfield does, and I look at his skill set. And I believe, in his heart of hearts, he believes that his skill set is just better than what it is, right? Like, Tom Brady
100%.
seems like he'd say something like that. Hey, he'd tell Bruce Arians, hey, you got to be in this meeting, right? He'll tell Josh McDaniels, hey, you got to be in this meeting. But that's Tom Brady. I just think sometimes he feels he's at that level. And does that tend to rub people the wrong way a little bit, right? You could be the quarterback and have that bravado, but if, like you said, you ain't delivering in the fourth quarter, that stuff get real old real quick.
I think it rubs people the wrong way because it gets them in trouble on the field. And the attitude and the personality and all that is really secondary because they'll put up with you if you're performing on the field. I had 2 former NFL quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks who had a decent amount of success in the NFL, tell me last year that Baker thinks he's Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, and he's not. And that's what gets him in trouble, is thinking that he's better than he is, trying to make plays that aren't there, trying to, quote, save the play call rather than just what's given to him and run what's called and what's in front of him. But he's always – and then, that's where the bad footwork comes into it and the bad decision-making and throwing the ball into areas where he shouldn't be throwing the ball and some of the awful interceptions that we saw. And that's what guys get frustrated with. It's just the thinking that you can do things that you're not capable of doing. And then you put the team in peril and you put the team in trouble. And then you act the way that he does and behave sort of the way he does. That's what I think aggravates people. And some of the things that his wife posted on social media, I know that didn't sit well in the locker room. And whether it was intended or not, whether she meant for it to come off the way that it did or not, that aggravated some people. So there's a lot. This is complicated and messy. It's not a simple cut and dried, this happened and then this happened and now they hate each other because of that. Like it's a lot more complicated than that. The contract plays a role in this. Everyone keeps saying, well, why didn't Kevin have the bravado to sit Baker down? Listen, ownership wanted him out there. The entire organization wanted him out there. They had a decision to make of whether or not they should pay him $300 million. That's why Baker played. And it wasn't this, that Baker's this tough guy, moxie, look how tough he is. He's playing through this. And why doesn't the team shut him down for his own sake and his own benefit? Baker's trying to get a contract, and the Browns are trying to evaluate him. That's why he did. That's why he was out there. So and plus, physically, he was able to go. And physically, if the doctors can't clear him, and he's legitimately hurt, like he was for the Thursday night game, coming off the second shoulder injury against Arizona, he was too hurt to play. He didn't play. But when the doctors clear you and you're medically cleared to play, and you have a $300 million decision to make, get out on the field and play.
So Jason, to your point, and for me personally, I'm just so tired of it. I mean, I'm ready to move on. Right? I'm done. Right? You want to go,
you and me both, man.
You want to go? All right, you gone. I think the Browns did a sweet move, right? Getting out of this deal, how they got out of it. I mean, they basically out of the deal, Jason, for $6.5 million and get themselves some cap room, right? By the time Baker switches his guarantees to incentives, the Carolina picks up some of the cash, the Browns pick up some of the cash. If he really wanted to go, well, now you're gone, right? So now we'll move on because you weren't happy here and you're making us miserable. There are half the people in the locker room that were miserable, right? So move on. Take your storm cloud with you, right? Take it to Carolina and let's see if it works out for you in Charlotte, right? Now, the thing that you're going to learn to regret as a young player potentially is this. The Browns have a kitchen cabinet full of good groceries. Good groceries.
Fresh produce.
Now, let me know what it looks like when you go to a place that has no groceries or very limited groceries. You're like, man, it didn't work like that in Cleveland. So I sit up here and say this, Jason. He's moved on, and all the baggage, right? You think you're a better player? Because there are a lot of people out here that think they're better than they are. We have a chance. I just want to get back to the Browns having a chance. And now that we have at least one portion of the equations resolved, let's get to the other portion of the equation, which are Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett, who's going to be available, and how healthy we can stay. If our main guy is down for a number of weeks, how healthy can we stay and keep the ship afloat until all the troops are on the floor? That's all I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about it. My man is gone. Look happy. You should be happy. But I'm gonna see some tweets. I know I'm gonna see some tweets because I guarantee you this: it's not gonna take long for him to get to Carolina and something sideways come out of his mouth.
No doubt, no doubt.
I mean, what coach has he liked that he's had his career? Think about it. Lincoln Riley, he liked Lincoln. Probably because Lincoln let him do whatever he wanted at Oklahoma. But what other coach? He went to war with Cliff Kingsbury. He went to war with Gary Patterson, who never even coached him. And Baker didn't like Gary because he wouldn't recruit him at TCU, according to Baker. And he didn't like Hugh, which I give a pass on that one because I would side with anybody over Hugh Jackson in any argument. You're against Hugh? Okay, yeah, you win. But aside from that, I mean, the Freddie Kitchens, if you liked him or not, I can't really speak to that. There was the whole clip of him calling Freddie an idiot or something, and it looked like it was in jest, but turns out he was right. Freddie is not capable of being a head coach. But there's just a pattern here of Baker's behavior and going to war with coaches. And from that perspective, if you want to talk about the instability that he had when he was in Cleveland, which is fair, 4 head coaches in his first 3 years, 4 coordinators. He did not have much stability here throughout his time here. He's not really going to get it in Carolina either. He's walking into another situation where a coach is on the hot seat and coaching for his job. So there's still more instability. Who knows how long he's going to be in Carolina. If I'm Baker, I'd rather have wound up in Seattle than Carolina. I think Seattle is a little bit more stable of a situation than what's going on where he's walking into now. It's just as turbulent there as it was, his first couple of years here.
Jason, real quick, you think the Browns sent him there on purpose?
No, because they got to play in week 1. I don't.
Carolina's roster is not that. It's not terrible.
Jason knows how it works in this league. They will send you places sometime to punish you, right? They will.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, they will.
That was my argument when Kyrie said he asked for a trade. I'm like, go send him to Sacramento. You don't like winning? Right. You don't like playing with LeBron? You don't like playing for championships? Here, go sit out in Sacramento or Detroit and see what it's like living on the other side. And for sure that happens. Who was the linebacker that the Browns got from the Patriots a few years ago? Oh man, I forgot his name. He wanted a contract from the Patriots. Belichick. Jamie Collins. Right. Why do you think Bill Belichick traded him to Cleveland? That's exactly what you're talking about, Brad. You don't want my money. You don't like playing for the Patriots. You don't like playing for championships. Here, go live in Cleveland for a while. See what you think about being on the other side. That for sure happens. I don't think that was the case here. I think the Browns were just looking for an empty chair,
an off ramp,
and where they could, just anywhere that they could dump them.
Jason, let's talk about if now that Baker's gone and that's out of the equation, if Deshaun Watson is suspended again. We feel like everything's going in the momentum of the suspension won't be the whole season, but if he is still suspended for the whole season, if that happens, do they go Garoppolo? Yesterday I mentioned Cam Newton, even though he's been terrible the last couple of years. Do they just stick with Brissett for a whole season? What do you think? What do you want them to do? What do you think they will do if he is suspended for the season?
It's so hard to say. They went and signed Jacoby Brissett with the understanding he was going to have to play some football games, but I don't think they signed Jacoby Brissett with the understanding he was going to have to play the whole season, and that's a big difference. There's a big difference in get us through the first 6 games, get us through the first 8 games, and okay, you got to take us to the playoffs and win us the Super Bowl because Deshaun's not going to be here. So I personally, I don't think I know that they've never really been high on Jimmy G. For whatever reason, he's just never. They just haven't been that enthralled with him. I think you have to look at him if this is a year-long thing, because this is a team built to win right now. And with Miles and with Nick Chubb, the contract clocks are running, and Jadeveon Clowney came back here for a chance to win. And I'm not saying you got to make a quarterback change because of Jadeveon Clowney, but all the factors thrown in, you're trying to compete for a Super Bowl right now. This team is ready to win, and I don't see realistically how you can win with Jacoby Brissett. So I would not do Cam Newton. I think he's done. I think he's cooked. But I would look long and hard at Jimmy. If the shoulder's right, I think you have to look long and hard at that, see what the price is, and see if that can be a 1-year stopgap for you.
What about Ryan Fitzpatrick? Hasn't played in the year. Last time we saw him, 13 touchdowns. He's in the booth. He's fresh. Didn't play last year. He's got the healthy arm, and he already knows every playbook in the NFL because he's been around for 7 decades and played for 27 and 30 teams.
Newton, actually.
I'd take him over Cam Newton.
I would too, but is he really that much better than Jacoby Brissett?
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
Brissett's 14 and 23 in his career as a starter, though. I think we're all over. Well, Maybe the Browns aren't overhyping him, but I think Browns fans selling themselves on Brissett
he's
being
a backup
a
quarterback.
capable starter for a full
he's a
season.
backup
You're
quarterback.
going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
He's a guy who the more he plays, the more he's going to get exposed.
That's right.
So if you can get
So is
him in
Baker.
short bursts of 4 games, 6 games, 8 games, whatever, I think Jacoby can hold serve for this team and get him to 3-3 through the first 6 weeks. I think that's realistic. And is Ryan Fitzpatrick that much better than Jacoby Brissett? I don't think he is. The Browns don't think he is, or they would have signed him.
Yeah.
They would, when they needed a backup quarterback to Deshaun, knowing he was going to miss some games. If the Browns thought Ryan was better, they would have just gone out and signed him. So clearly, they like Jacoby better than Fitzpatrick. I think the only move to make is Jimmy. That's the only guy to me that's out there that is a significant upgrade over what you've got.
Jason, last thing on the Browns before we move on to the Cavaliers here. They obviously have a little more cap room. I think it ends up being about $8.5 million between the money Baker's, turning into incentives and the money that Carolina's picking up. Do you expect them now? If the opposite kind of happens, especially if Watson is not suspended for the whole season, to be maybe more aggressive than they've been on either a veteran defensive tackle like an Ndamukong Suh or a veteran wide receiver like a Will Fuller?
I think, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to look foolish here, but I think you've got what you've got at this point. I know that there's some names out there and there's some guys out there, and I suppose if the money's right, maybe you take a look at them. But I sort of think this is who they're rolling with, and this is who they're going to take into camp, and this is their team. This is, and I just think, especially a guy like Will Fuller who has ties to Deshaun. If they wanted him, he'd have been here by now. And I don't. If he's not here now, I don't see what would cause them to change their minds on that.
Jason, we switching gears to the Cavs. We got some good stuff to talk about here. Obviously, Darius Garland gets the super bag. I mean, this is the go-yard bag, the Louis Vuitton, the Gucci, the Hermes.
Authentic.
The authentic leather joint, the duffel. You walk into the airport, you playing for somebody.
He's buying even a fancier car than Jason just got.
Oh, what do you mean? What you mean? What you mean? He's sitting in the Phantom. But let's talk about this relationship with Colin Sexton. I said it when it happened. I said, man, Rich Paul is representing both of them young fellas, and for a dude in the prime of his career to see his teammate. Now, I think they both great guys, but there has to be something in Colin Sexton that says, man, he just got that level of money. Is it something that you look at it and say, well, is Colin going to be like, I ain't taking 16. I at least need 20, 21, 22. And can they coincide if one of them has the contract and Colin don't have it yet?
Yeah, I think, so there's a lot there. And I guess let's start with the agent thing. And, I think, that you're onto something there with the fact that Colin fired his agent. He went through last year, didn't get a contract extension from the Cavs, entering restricted free agency now. It's no coincidence that that's when Colin fires his agent and hires Rich Paul, who has turned into one of the most influential, powerful agents in the NBA. And Colin's looking for the money. And I'm not sure he's going to get it. I don't think he's going to get the number he wants, but I think he feels rightfully so that Rich is better aligned to get him that number than Austin, his old agent, who he moved on from during the season. But I don't think the Cavs are going to overextend on him. There was a time where I thought they were. There was a time, and I was really hard on Colin for a number of years, and the Cavs for putting him in the sort of positions that they were putting him in. I didn't think he was suited to be that. They were positioning him as the face of the franchise, and he was not that. And that's just not his game. He's never going to be that. But now, when he put up some of the numbers that he did and you treated him the way that you did, now the bills come due for that. And now he wants you to write him the check. And I'm not sure they're going to go into the $20 million range for him. He's got a clearly defined role on this team, and it's really not as a starting two guard next to Darius anymore. And for everything that I've written about Colin, he is a good guy. And to the extent that we know these guys, I always pause and, you never know what guys are like behind closed doors. You try not to make blanket statements like that. But he's handled everything thrown at him well. And he has had a lot of adversity when you've got people like me saying some of the things that I've said and written about him, and other people in the media have said and written about him. And he always just keeps his mouth closed and comes to work. And and works hard. And when they first brought these guys in, I said, well, clearly nobody learns from their mistakes, because Kyrie and Dion wanted to strangle each other after about a year together. And here we go all over again. And everyone up and down the organization has said, this is not that. These guys are not that. It's completely different personalities. They really are cool with each other. And I think, Colin, of course, Colin wants his bag, but I think he's thrilled for Darius to get the contract that he got as well.
So let me ask you about the bag here, right? Because there's a pathway for Colin Sexton here. And I'm cognizant of the heat that players get. Jason, I spend my time in Chicago. There's enough daggers being thrown at me in Chicago, right? So I understand how it goes.
Yeah.
You learn to let it roll off your back like water as you matriculate through this league. Let me say this to you. There's a bag for him, but it really comes as a person who can provide me punch off the bench. But if you can
100%.
accept that role, you can thrive in it. You may not be the $200 million man, but you're going to be well taken care of in this league. And I tell you, for longevity, for a guy his size, I just looked at what John Wall got over his last 4 years.
Wow.
John Wall's played like 40 games, and he's got a bag of like $200 million.
Less games, more money.
Yeah.
And so there's an avenue for a guy like Colin Sexton. I don't know, though, mentally, is he equipped to accept a role like that off the bench? Because give me 18, 19 off the bench. You will have a longevity in this league for life. But bringing a guy like Colin Sexton off the bench, Jason, I think makes the Cavaliers better. And I said this the other day on the air. Now, you probably I don't know how you think about this, but I need a guy that I can count on to go to and give me punch too. And there's not many of those guys floating around. I said a guy like the Lakers are going to let Melo go, right? And I don't care. I don't need Melo to be a 100% guy. I just need a guy that can give me some points. Because when we got to the play-in last year, there was nobody who could give you any production when guys got shut down.
Right.
So if I can combine players like that together, I think that the Cavaliers have a better chance.
Yeah, I agree with I think all that. I don't know about Carmelo as a fit here. They do need shooting. That's sort of the reason Abaji's here. They just need guys who can shoot. And there were moments last year where, and I said this. I think I said this on the show, and I've certainly written it, said it on other airwaves that there were times last year where everything broke down, and Colin could really help that team if he was healthy. Like, you could go get him a bucket when they really need a bucket, and there is a role for that. And to his credit, he was already sort of evolving into this role. He was still starting last year, but before he got hurt, his usage was way down. They weren't running things through him as much anymore, and he seemed to accept it. And, the organization feels like he wants to be here, which is important, because most of the time you got to hold people at gunpoint to get them to sign in Cleveland. Like, that's just, I'm from here, I love it here, I'll die here. But the reality is, if you grew up elsewhere, you don't want to be here. And so to find people who want to stay in Cleveland and want to be in Cleveland, it's hard. And it's part of the reason they gave Kevin the contract that he did, because he told him he wanted to be here. And Colin wants to be here. So that counts for something, but that cannot account for $8 million on top of what you really should be paid. And that's where the struggle. I think it's going to be more money than role. And I know the two are tied together, but and I don't know that. Like, this is just me. This is just my opinion. This isn't source or anything. I think Colin is willing to accept a reduced role because he showed signs of that last year, but he still wants to be paid for what he's done in this league. And I just don't know. I'm really fascinated to see where the number falls on this. If the Cavs tell him, just go get a deal and we'll match it, if he signs a qualifying offer elsewhere, or if they come to terms on something here. I'm really sort of curious to see how this plays out.
So you think it's, just real quick, I know Mike's got a question. You think it's shooting over scoring? See, I think the Cavaliers need scoring. I need somebody that can put a bucket up when I need a bucket, right? That don't make you the best shooter. That just means you're a guy that can go get a bucket.
But it's a lot easier for Colin to score if you've got somebody on the wing you have to pay attention to. And that's why I think they're related there. I agree, they need scoring. They need somebody who can go get a bucket. But if you're packing the paint because you don't have anyone that you fear at the three-point line, which this team didn't really have many guys who you truly feared stepping back and shooting threes, that opens it up for everybody else and for everything else. So I think they're related. And Colin is not the shooter, but I think they're hoping that Abaji could sort of be that catch and shoot coming off pin downs, sort of the movement. And I wrote this, nobody's comparing Abaji to Kyle Korver, but just the actions that Kyle brought to this offense. Really, before Kyle Korver got here, it was go stand in the corner and wait for the ball. And LeBron and Kyrie are going to collapse the defense and kick it out to you. And if you can stand there and make a set shot 3-pointer, Channing Frye had a lot of success playing here because he was a really good catch and shoot 3-point shooter. And I think that they're sort of hoping that. And then, so I guess my point was then when Kyle Korver got here, he brought a lot of actions that they didn't really coming off screens and movement to get to your spot that really didn't exist. And I think the Cavs hope that Agbaji can sort of bring some of those looks back to this offense.
Jason, I know Summer League starts tonight, but I got one more question about the Cavs free agency moves. Ricky Rubio coming back on a 3-year deal, and it's kind of gone under the radar with all the other news going, but it seems like that was kind of the Cavs' top priority heading into the offseason. How big of it was it for the Cavs to bring back Rubio, who was really a crucial part of their bench last season?
Yeah, it's really years 2 and 3. He's not going to be healthy till December, January, so they're still in need of a backup point guard. They went and signed Neto, to sort of fill that spot until Ricky's ready, and then I think they'll send him on his way. But a 3-year deal for $6 million a year, listen, there was a point last year when Ricky was playing so well where I said I didn't know if the Cavs were going to be able to get him back because he could go start for another team in this league and make starters money. And I'm really surprised that that's the contract. Obviously, it's related to the knee injury and now his second pretty serious knee injury. And, I have to believe that probably drove down his value across the league. But it's I think we need to be realistic with expectations on Ricky. He was sensational last year, but he was playing the best ball of his career. And I don't know if it's fair to ask him or to expect him to play at that level again when he returns. I think he's a really valuable part. Having a veteran backup point guard who can get you into your offense, who can get the ball moving, who doesn't need to dominate the offense is huge. And it's a big signing. But I would temper your expectations when he comes back and realize that it's going to be a while still yet before we see him on the floor.
Jason, good stuff as always. Have fun working in Summer League.
Hey, let me show you something real quick. Can I show you something real quick?
Yeah,
please.
So most of the time in Vegas, you get a great view of the Strip outside your hotel window.
What you got, the other Strip?
That's what I get. I got Allegiant Stadium outside mine.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I don't know. Can you see that?
Yeah, we can see it. It does look pretty cool, but it's not that exciting.
Don't worry, you're not staying in the room anyway. You're not staying in the room anyway.
Yeah, I'd rather see the Strip. All right, we'll see you.
You'd rather have a room with the Strip.
You're in studio with us on Monday, I believe, right?
I am on a red eye home Saturday night, and I am in studio with you on Monday. Yes.
All right, we'll see you then.
All right, we'll see you. Enjoy
Thanks,
Vegas.
Jason.
What stays in Vegas.
All right, see you guys.
Keep it there. That's right. Jason Lloyd, good to see him. Coming up later in the show, we'll talk with Shehan Jiraja.
Do we have
that time?
We got
Close.
we got the most hosts in the game, bro.
Oh,
by
no,
the
Yeah,
way.
we
no
do.
question.
We got 75 hosts. Like if you watching
Quality people, though.
quality, if you
Quality
want
takes.
basketball, you
Yeah.
want everything. You want baseball, you want football. We
got
give
you covered.
And make sure you subscribe
covered.
to the channel, by the way, man.
right.
We got
We're
a
up to
goal
ne-
to hit.
Over 9,000 now.
Over 9,100.
9,100, yeah.
Yeah.
Getting chili dumped on my head at 10,000.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it.
Listen, real quick, I want to get to the Guardians here in a minute, but one thing on the Baker Watson stuff that we didn't hit on that I teased and I wanted to hit real quick.
Okay.
What would Baker have to do in Carolina to make the Browns regret this trade? Mikey McNuggets.
Well, when you look at this situation,
Yeah.
it's like breaking up with your high school girlfriend in 10th grade that it just wasn't going to work
I never
out.
had a girlfriend in high school, sadly, but go ahead. I wouldn't know that experience.
You know it's not going to work out, and you don't regret it in the moment.
Yeah.
You don't regret it until the 10-year reunion. When you show up in your Toyota Camry and she pulls up in the European car with her hair done and nails did, and she turns from a 6 to a 10, you go,
Sounds deeply personal.
I haven't made my 10-year reunion yet, so I don't know exactly yet. But you don't get jealous
Yeah.
or regret breaking up with her until
Yeah.
you see what she's become.
Okay. Yeah, fair
If
enough.
Baker goes out and wins 2-3 playoff games, yeah, the Browns going to look at,
Are
Yeah,
they?
dude, we
If
missed out on
Deshaun
something.
Watson wins the Super Bowl, are we
we-
going to care how many?
well, Watson wins the Super Bowl, then I guess it's
Yeah.
apples to oranges. But Baker's won the only playoff game in Browns history since 1994. If he goes over to Carolina and immediately, I don't think he will, but if
Yeah.
he goes out and does win a playoff game, win 2 playoff games, I
Yeah.
think the Browns are going to seriously regret it. And because we asked for stats,
Yeah.
I did a little research.
Oh,
He's
For
the
them
dude
to
that comes with
regret
the notes.
trading Baker Mayfield away, he'll have to throw for 4,500 yards and 57 touchdowns this year, which is not going to happen.
Yeah, no.
He's only
57 touchdowns.
Yeah, specifically 57.
Okay.
Anything less, they won't regret it. And if we're throwing out stats, he's only thrown
Yeah.
for over 300 yards in 10 of his 62 career games. So
Wow.
it ain't going to happen.
So I'm going to make it.
It ain't gonna
I'm
happen.
going to make it concise for our fans out here, right? So first of all, let me apologize to you, Mikey, for the trauma you had in high school, right?
Yeah, really.
I don't know who did that to you, but I mean, it's
We'll
traumatic.
get into another
It's
day.
still traumatic. I see, right?
Pulled up in the
because we would
form.
have pulled up, we wouldn't care. We just pull it up.
Like, yo,
right?
what's up?
What's happening, right? So for the Browns to regret this trade, Baker Mayfield would have to go slinging sidearm down in Carolina and slaying people, right?
Right.
Because the Browns, unless Stefanski wrecks this thing, should be on track for something special here. You have enough groceries in the kitchen cabinet to be special. The only way you screw it up is this. You screw it up. Baker Mayfield's got so many obstacles to clear down in Carolina. So many for that team to be good. Now, but if, on the other hand, if he gets going sideways and he does that Oklahoma magic, whatever it is, the Browns will say this. But to your point, if the Browns are tracking towards high playoff, I won't say Super Bowl, high playoffs, heading toward like they're looking like they're going to be a serious contender here, we're not regretting a thing.
Yeah.
Not at all.
G?
It's going to take a Herculean effort, right? Now, the fans are a little different. If you ask me what would make the fans regret it, all Baker got to do is win the first game.
Yeah.
And be competitive and be in the race, right? Because the fans got a low bar. For the organization, I don't think if Baker goes to the playoffs and does his thing for a year, I don't even think if he goes to the NFC Championship game. The organization is looking at this thing from a 10,000 height view. They're looking at it like, hey, yeah, you did that this year. We've seen your best. We've seen what you can do at 18. You look good. We saw what you're going to do in 20. But when you play in the long game, guess what? When you play that long game, we have to take into consideration 19 and 21 as well. So, yeah, we've seen Baker have a great year. The thing is, over a long, sustained period of time, the sample size is what the sample size is. And McNuggets had a great statistic. I didn't even know this one. He has only thrown for 300 yards 10 times out of the 66 starts. Do you understand what type of futility that is in a league where you can't touch nobody, you can't grab nobody, they throw the ball every play, you can't even sniff the quarterback, you can't put your weight on them.
And most of the top quarterbacks do that in 1 year.
1 year.
Passing yards are up.
Yeah.
You can't play defense in the secondary without drawing a flag. There's
Right.
more holdings and pass interferences
Yeah.
than ever. 300 yards is what 200 yards used to be.
Yes.
It's
Now,
not uncommon anymore.
I'm going to answer this question in a second. First of all, since we don't take a break, I got to ask G on this here. Is this your water or mine?
Yeah, listen,
Because I got to
this
have a
my
sip.
water.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Usually when we go out to eat and stuff, we get mixed up because we be having like all these plates and we be like, is that mine or yours? And then sometimes
All
we
right.
just drink it.
See,
But
here's the thing, guys. There's essentially nothing Baker can do to make the Browns regret this. It's what Deshaun Watson does. If Deshaun Watson plays like we all expect him to play, and the team performs, even if it's not this year, but over the next couple of years, as we expect them to perform, then what Baker does is irrelevant.
Yeah.
The only way you'd possibly regret this trade is if beyond, Watson just doesn't ever play, goes to jail, has, devastating injuries. If Deshaun Watson plays, the only way you're going to regret this trade is if he sucks here and Baker's great there. The combination of those two.
Yeah.
And the odds of that happening, to me, are almost nil.
because you look at it like this. We talked about this optimism for Baker if Jacoby Brissett is playing. But if Deshaun Watson was playing, you're like, y'all about to get smoked. This is
Browns
a
are a
smoke
touchdown
show.
favorite on the road
This
with
is
Watson.
a smoke
Yeah.
show if Deshaun Watson's playing week 1.
I mean,
So-
they're still favored with Brissett right now. I mean, even with out
Right.
their starting quarterback
I'm
with
gonna-
a guy who's a 14 and 13.
I'm going to tell you the game to watch here. This game, this really boils down to one game of the season, right? This Carolina-Cleveland game. This is the day that Baker Mayfield can have his day.
Yeah.
Right. This is it, because
Right.
the rest that's coming Baker Mayfield's way going to be a hard road to.
On the other hand, if he loses, he'll be the first quarterback to lose to the Browns in week 1 in 2 decades. How sweet would that be? Go ahead,
Now
Mike.
that-
Final thought on this.
Oh, no, I'm just laughing.
Yeah.
That would be a
Yeah,
hysterical
that would be
little
good.
nugget to wrap it all up.
All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk about the Guardians here for a little bit. Obviously, they're playing terrible baseball. They've lost, I think it's 12 out of 16 now.
Oof.
They got swept in a 4-game series against the Detroit Tigers. That seems like a low point in the season.
First time they've been swept in a 4-game series against Detroit. since 2013.
Good stat. Tigers have been bad for a while now, not since 2013, but they've been bad for a while. Are you panicking as they have, I think 11 games till the All-Star break, I believe? Are you panicking about the Guardians right now?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah, they're 40-40. Dead smack even. G. Bush said it earlier. This is an average team.
You're panicking?
Yeah, because this team's so young, and with games against division teams to end the first half of the season.
Look at that. You're panicking 4.5 back with a
But they're not good is the issue.
Yeah, but
they're not good enough to
Mikey,
not panic.
They're young, right? They're very, very young, right? So I couldn't tell you at the beginning of the season that the Guardians would be sitting in second place at this time of year. So yeah, we're limping into the All-Star game. There's no question about it. But you just want to stay solid. Stay solid, a young team, and hope that you catch fire.
But
this is not the Yankees. This is not Aaron Judge. This is not them.
Well, you have to manage expectations. If there's no panic if your expectation was to win a World Series, because that was never going to be a realistic outcome. But the expectation right now was this team looks like they can compete for a second wild card, and they're losing games to teams they shouldn't be losing to in a point of the season where they need to be playing their best baseball.
If you are doing a real analysis of the talent on this team and where it is, right, I think that the Guardians are in a proper position. Right, and it's just the growing pains that you're watching here, right? Because what happens, people get excited. We run off the string that we ran off like, we legit now. We're knocking on the door. No, you're not knocking on the door. You just had a good streak. Now you're catching a bad streak. Now you need to catch another good streak. This is what this is going to be until you have a roster that looks like it's a legit roster.
This is the scary part, Bull.
Yeah.
This is what I don't like what happens with young teams, right? If a young team overachieves a year early, right? They give you this false sense of security. Now, what happens if you go into the season next year and you say, well, we was competitive this year?
Right.
That's actually a logical fallacy because next year they could come out and still be young and be worse than they was this year.
Right.
And what happens is the fans are saying, well, hold on, what happened? Like we were in second place. We competed for a wild card. What's going on, Tito? And he's gonna say, look, we still young. Young don't mean like the progression is linear.
Right.
Young means, we played well, up and down. This year was an all-down year. But what happens to your fan base if they can't get? I'd rather you be garbage for 5 years and then get good 1 year, and so we can say, yeah, let's go. But if you good 1 year, then garbage, then good a little bit, garbage. People don't know how to read that. I can't read that.
Yeah, and fans are panicking big time because they've lost 12 of 16. But you shouldn't be surprised. I remember we did a practice show the week before we started this show, and we asked the question, can the Guardians stay in the mix? And I said to you guys, they're going to stay in the mix. They're going to win 70-something games. They're going to be competitive. They're going to be inconsistent, but they'll stay in the mix, but they won't make the playoffs. And that's exactly what's going to happen. We got the Guardians are what they are, right? They've lost 12 of 16, right? Before that, they won 17 of 21. Before that, they lost 8 of 12. Before that, they won 8 of 10.
Right, exactly.
Then they lost 7 before that, and they won 8 of 10 before that. Brad said it, you're a young team. This is the youngest team in baseball. They're younger than every AAA team. There's a lot of unproven players.
Right.
When you go to the big leagues, more than any other sport, right? Like, a lot of times, if you're a young player in the NBA, especially when you played, Brad, when it wasn't 18-year-olds, and most of the guys were coming out after their junior or senior year of college, like, if you were really good, you went to the NBA. Some guys took time to develop, but there were a lot of guys who were great right away, and then they just stayed great. There was none of this, well, they're great, then they sucked, and they're great, you know. But baseball, even the proven stars will just have a bad year. And not because they're hurt, you're just like, why can't this guy hit this year? And then the next year he goes and hits again. Or why is this guy's had a 3 ERA for 5 years. Then he's got a 6 ERA, and then the next year he's got a 3 ERA again. Happened to Cliff Lee. Happened to CC Sabathia. You can't figure it out. That is baseball. So for young guys, it's even more extreme. You see those disparities within a season. So when you have all these young players, Jose Ramirez is the only guy in the lineup that is a proven player. That's it. Even some of the veterans they have are not really veterans. They're young veterans.
They're 20.
Right?
They're my age.
They're learning too.
They just old
Same
and no
thing
good.
in the pitching staff. Shane Bieber is really the only proven veteran in the pitching staff. They are loaded with young players, and that causes you to have extremes of hot streaks and extremes of cold streaks.
But that's why I think it's. I mean, panic is all based on your expectation.
Right.
It's relative.
And like I said, if your expectation of this team was to win a World Series, then no, you don't have to
But
panic.
nobody had that expectation.
And
Yeah,
that's
right.
my point.
Yeah.
The expectation I had for this Guardians team, 80 games into the season,
Yeah.
is they could compete and at least stay competitive in that second wild card spot.
Right.
And when you look at the season,
Third wild card spot.
Third wild card, excuse
Yeah.
me. When you look at the season, I don't expect them to beat the Yankees. I don't expect them to beat the Red Sox. They beat the Dodgers a couple weeks ago, and that was a surprise. So when you see these stretches of teams or stretches of games against teams they should be able to compete against, and they're not beating them, they just got swept by Detroit. Look at the last,
Yeah,
their
that was
offensive numbers
bad.
last 7
But-
games. It's worth panicking because those are the games that I expect them to win, and they're
Right.
not. And I don't think they'll be able to get hot against the better teams. So if they're going to stay in the race for the second or third playoff spot, these are the games they need to win.
Well, Mikey, the flip side of that is that
I'm also not saying real quick, Brad, I'm not smashing 10 on the panic
No.
meter. But it's time to
here.
panic. These are games they should win.
You know, see, we're older than you. I'm not panicking at all, right? Because when you have a young team, Mikey, it's like the Dow Jones. You're going to get up and down, and that's what's going to happen here. So they're not doing anything that when I saw this roster at the beginning is unexpected, right?
Well, let me ask you a question, Brad, real quick.
They're going to win some games that they weren't supposed to win. They're going to lose some games that they weren't supposed to lose.
I got to ask you a question, though. You put money in the Dow Jones, and you see your stock go up, and then you see it go down. Do you start panicking when the stock goes down a little bit?
When you stay in the Dow Jones, baby, you keep them stocks and just let it ride it out.
You let
That's what you
it's
do.
got to
Just
play
ride
itself for a while.
Just ride it out.
But let me tell you, I will say,
Yeah.
it's your risk aversion, right? It's your experience level. For younger people like me and Mikey, we like this. Hey, we ain't got no time for all that up and down.
But when I see that stock goes, I'm out. I'm out.
We like, I'm out of this. So I can go watch something else.
You two can't go to Vegas because I can't give you the dice for the crap table.
No.
Because you're gonna be scared that you're gonna crap out.
That's
No.
right.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
even go.
Big facts.
Don't even get on the
Big
boat.
facts.
Don't even get on a plane. to
Don't
Vegas.
play the game if you're scared to lose.
I'm playing blackjack. I got to put some back. And if I hit that,
And by the way, G. Bush, you ain't that young.
yeah, I'm 40.
I am.
Let's you go to Vegas for the shows, okay?
That's
You
right.
go for the shows, okay?
Yeah, the show. Yeah, who goes to the shows? Yeah,
Right.
All right, let's leave it there, guys. I want to do one other quick baseball story because I saw this morning. We have the video. This was an incident last night. Do we have the collision in the video or just the aftermath?
It's 88, Anthony. I got you. 88.
Yeah. We're pulling it up right now.
We have the collision too. Look at this play. C.J. Abrams and Jerks and Profar. I don't know if we got the close up here, but
No,
it's
too
pretty ugly.
graphic.
So
I don't put it
Profar,
in.
who's playing the outfield, takes a knee to the head. This is some of him walking. He looks totally out of it to me. And look at this. Why are the trainers letting him walk? That's a terrible job by the Padres trainer.
that was terrible.
And by the way, he had already been a little wobbly, and they had to put him back down again. Like, I just don't understand. Like, what are they thinking here? This guy, if you saw the close-up video,
The close-up
head
was too
went,
graphic. I didn't want to put it in.
It was awful.
I decided against putting it in.
But
there.
you gotta think about it. You know, and once again, it's levels to this thing. In the NFL, they're teaching you immediately. You go down.
Yeah.
We're gonna secure your head.
Yeah, right.
We're not doing any of that, and we're gonna get you on that board and get you up out of here.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with baseball, they feel like, okay, well, it couldn't have been that hard of a hit, right? And he said he was good to go.
Yeah.
I guess, but you could tell when they first started to pick him up,
Yeah.
he was wobbly.
But it goes down to this. So you,
Yeah.
G and Bull, this is what it goes down to. You got trainers here that just because you're the trainer don't mean you're a good trainer. You're just a trainer. So what you just saw was a rookie move right here.
Yeah, and you're not even at least hold his arms.
If you see that he was wobbly from the beginning, hold on. We don't know what's going on.
Stay down, big fella.
Let's stay down, big fella. We'll get you
And we
out
don't
of
even
here.
know. We wish him
here.
the best. I don't know what's happened to him
We've got carts
since.
and buggies and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Come get him.
Remember they used to have the baseball
Oh, yeah.
carts that would bring the guys in from the bullpen?
So we still
Give me
have
one of
that
those.
around
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Right? We don't have to say, listen, you good? Because the first thing you
Walk
ask me,
it
I'm
off.
good, I'm going to say, oh, no, I'm good.
And by the way, I was listening to the announcer. He's like, well, you know, as he's getting up, he's like, yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to stay in the game. I'm like, stay in the game. He
How
looked
about
like he
stay
almost got his
awake?
head taken off.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dr. Bowman. You know, OU. And I done tore ACLs and all kind of stuff in the game.
Yeah.
The great thing about it is you're supposed to keep the people sane and calm. Because when you get hurt, you
crazy.
freaking out, looking around. Like I'm like, what is this? I didn't dang near died.
Man, those trainers did a bad job. All right, before we bring in our next guest, let's do a little good bet, bad bet, Anthony. Well, good
Yeah,
bet,
good
bad
bet,
bet
bad bet
action.
coming up.
I went 1-2. I know I went 1-2. I know G went 2-1.
And Jay went 1 and
I'm
2.
pulling
Brad,
it
you've
up
lost
right
9
now.
in a row,
I'm
man.
awful.
Brad, you
Brad's
are
lost 9 in
ice
a row.
cold right
I'm
now.
on a Guardian streak right now. So I
You
gotta-
are.
I
Are you
gotta-
panicking on the
Guardians.
bets?
I gotta come.
I would just like to say I didn't pick any of Brad's bets this week.
And,
too,
and
so
this is,
that's all right.
and I got the auto pick today. The auto
G did.
pick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
I
happened to
picked
you? You didn't make your picks.
Listen, I didn't hit send on that pick, so I got auto pick.
Anthony, stay with me, baby, because I'm gonna come back out of the clouds like nobody's business.
All right, here we go.
I
We got the
believe in you,
standings.
Brad. I believe in you.
Let's
All right,
go
so the first
game.
bet today, it's Guardians plus 1.5 against the Royals.
McNuggets. That's good.
That's slick.
Mike said he didn't have a picture.
G,
Brad,
you're the lone dissenter here.
Gave me that auto pick. That's a terrible auto pick.
Hey, you just got the opposite. Anthony picked.
Oh,
you.
yeah.
You went the opposite of everyone else.
Screwed
went,
you on
so-
that one.
So he's
Yeah,
gonna
sorry,
go.
G.
Laying a run with the Royals.
The Royals. All right, man. Whatever.
All right, next one.
All right, next one is over 8.5 runs in Guardians and Royals.
All right, McNuggets, you're the lone dissenter here on bad.
Yeah,
Bet.
I showed the offensive stats of the Guardians earlier. I don't trust them to score runs. I think it's gonna be like a 4-3 game.
By the
is
way,
7.
that
good at math.
looks like more like a Wendy's nugget. That does not have the consistency of a McDonald's McNugget.
That
I
is a
need you to get
McDonald's
that.
chicken nugget. I pulled it straight from their
I,
advertisement
listen,
in Photoshop.
I need those. I need that layer of plastic look on
By,
it.
by the way, Steve says Brad will rise like a phoenix. in his
That's right.
predictions.
I believe in
Steve,
him.
my man. Stay
All right.
with me, baby.
Let's,
bet number
let's
3,
get the
guys.
third one here.
Guardians will steal a base in tonight's game. Once again, G, you're the
G getting
outstander.
out.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
that's good. Ain't nobody, who steals bases anyway?
Jose Ramirez,
Miles
Ahmed
Straw, if he
Rosario.
gets on for the first time in 4 games.
Miles Straw. Good luck getting
Ain't
him
got
on.
Ricky, this ain't the second coming of Ricky Henderson. They ain't
I,
getting nobody
I can't believe Shohei Ohtani didn't get an RBI. You were right
Yeah,
about
I
that
told
one.
you I got that one. Let's go.
The Angels only scored 1 run, and that giant Padre game went extra innings, and it was only 3 runs.
2-1. Yep.
Red Sox Yankees did go over by like the 3rd or 4th inning, I think.
I'm
And they
coming
didn't score
back.
after that, really. So
I'm
It's
coming
true, it was
back to
quiet
get that
after that.
crown.
All right, and that's good bet, bad bet. We got one more sponsored segment. I don't think we had on the list what the internet's saying, or do we?
that's what Ask the Show is today.
Oh, that's what the show is today.
We actually have another guest ready to come in. Right
Oh, we
now.
do. All right,
I
very
want
good.
you to try and pronounce his name though, Bull, because I'm not going to do it.
Our guest.
Shayhan.
I mean, be a professional. Shayhan Jaraja. Did I say it right?
You got it. You got it.
Shayhan, how are you, man? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
So you're friends with Mikey McNuggets? How does one become friends with Mikey McNuggets?
You're forced to go down to College Station to cover a couple of games, and you can't escape him, unfortunately.
Yeah, I could see that. Let's inspect your background a little bit. What do we think of his background? Does he get approval?
Yeah. I'm trying to see about who that guy that number 7 jersey is up there. I don't know who it is.
That's Shane Buechele, right?
Yeah. So I used to work at an outlet called Dave Campbell's Texas Football. It's kind of known as the Bible of Texas football down here in the state of Texas. And so I got to do a bunch of magazines, did cover stories for the magazine. So all the covers back here are football and basketball cover stories that I got to do for the magazine.
And just so everyone knows, Shayhan out there is the best-dressed media member in the college football world. Shayhan, you went a little casual today. I told you this is a very casual show, casual look, but
Yeah.
next time you come on, man, you got to come with your flyest fit, the Miami drug dealer look that you have.
Oh my God.
I'm saving that one.
Cocaine
Big 12
Cowboys.
Media Days.
When we got
12
Tag Boy
media
working,
days is
Shayhan,
next
we'll pop
week.
up some of your fits to run through with you. G. Bush is our fashionista over here,
Yes,
so we'll
yes.
run through it with you.
Yeah. Is he
It
look
sounds
that
great. Sounds great.
Does he look that much like a drug dealer that Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are going to arrest him or something?
No, it's a good look.
No.
It's a good look. I'll show him after the
Bad
hit.
Boys reference. No,
Nah,
You weren't
I
feeling
know
that?
where you're going.
I know where he's
I know where you're
going.
going.
I dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah.
Let's get into this. First of all, speaking of that Texas area and the Big 12, or although I don't even know what is the Big 12 going to still exist? Is it a relevant conference anymore? What is the future of the Big 12? And what is the future of the conferences in college football, do you think? Where are we headed?
Yeah, I think right now we're obviously in a very tenuous position, right? I think that at this moment, right, the Pac-12 is entering this negotiation window with Fox and ESPN, and I think a lot of that is going to spell the future for the Pac-12, right? Because, look, if the numbers are great, then things are going to be easy, right? I think then the Pac-12 kind of stays together and tries to go at it long term. The ACC also sounds like they're trying to get in on this discussion, trying to create some sort of new alliance now that the Big Ten has kind of stabbed them in the back in some ways to try to increase the revenue for both of these leagues.
There's
no other way to describe it.
We don't. First of all, my friend, we don't stab.
They shank.
We take what we want.
Yeah, they shanked him right in the eye.
Well, whatever you want to call it.
I'm a Buckeye, so I
like it.
We don't hoodwink people. We just take what we want. The difference.
But ultimately, I think the four schools that are in that sort of southeastern quadrant of the Pac-12, I think, are going to make all the decisions, right? You got these four corner schools: Utah, Arizona State, Colorado. They're going to look at what the numbers are. They're going to look at what this future for the Pac-12 looks like. They're going to see what kind of value that they can get if potentially the Pac-12 were to bring in a couple of Mountain West schools. But if the numbers aren't good and if the future looks a little bit more stable in the Big 12, I think that they could make that kind of decision. Now, this isn't a decision that's going to happen in a week or anything like that. I think that we're going to go through that whole 30-day window. I think that the contract is going to be opened up to outsiders. Obviously, being on the West Coast, maybe you get an Amazon or an Apple involved. But I think that long-term, it seems to be trending that the Pac-12 might be in trouble.
Hey, Sean, question, and Anthony, bring that map back up so I can see it, right?
Coming right up. Give us 1 second.
Because the power play in football is gone. That's done, right? This is now looking to me more like a basketball conference because you have second-tier football programs here. That's not a money-making thing now, right? If you're talking about aligning with the ACC too, it's all basketball now. That's where the money is. It's not in football anymore, unless I'm reading the tea leaves wrong here. Because nothing I'm seeing on there is scary to any of those two conferences, the Big Ten or the SEC. None of it.
Maybe
none of
Oregon.
What's left over.
That's it.
You're not hyped for the UCF Washington football game? Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not.
Well, I think that what ends up happening, right, because football is the moneymaker across sports, across levels, and it really does define in so many ways what happens everywhere else, even though basketball obviously is such a powerful sport. I think that right now what the pathway looks like for everybody else is the SEC and Big Ten are going to be doing something that nobody else can match. There's no super conference you can form to match up with it. There's nothing you can do from a revenue perspective to actually compete with those two leagues. But I think that the goal is here, if you're the Big 12, if you're the ACC, if you're the Pac-12, try to be number 3. There's still going to be, I think, value there. It's not going to be anywhere near the value of those top leagues. But, I think you still can do better financially than what you do right now, potentially. You're in the $60 million range, potentially, instead of in the 30s or the 20s, which looks like where it might be heading. So I think that obviously a big part of this, too, is going to be access to the playoff and access to national stuff and access to any sort of postseason. And if there's any pathway left there, I think that does put whatever the third best conference is in a good position to still be competitive. But, I think you're right, too. The Big 12, I think, adding these 4 new schools that they just added, 4 pretty powerful basketball brands to go along with, obviously, the last 2 national champions in Baylor and Kansas, a lot of other schools that take basketball seriously. And imagine if you do add Utah and Arizona and Colorado to that group. It's a tremendous basketball conference.
Shion, let me speak with you. Let me get my crystal ball back out here. I'm looking at it. And there is a way that they can come back and they can, Ohio State and Michigan, all those guys, SEC, Big Ten, Alabama, they run a hard game. But I'll tell you this, to beat one of the big dogs, you got to go up top. So what if the Pac-12 says, all right, Pac-12, Big 12, we get together and here's
and ACC.
And ACC.
Clemson.
And what we do is we say, we are the others. And in our others, we are going to say we are leaving the NCAA. You can let them play for the championship, but if you want to play football over here, we actually pay players. We're going to pay you, and we're going to pay you. It ain't got to be you get NIL. We can pay you on top of that, and we're going to cut that deal. So we'll move. We're no longer part of the NCAA. And if you do that, what you can then do is say, oh, wow, well, now you get top-rated quarterbacks. Now you get people that weren't usually wanting to go to Arizona or Baylor, all that good stuff. You're going to get $100,000 a year, and that's for everybody. And the NIL money, guess what? The top players can get that on top of that. I guarantee you, if the Pac-12 and the Big 12 are looking, you can compete then because guess what? That money going to talk.
And they could have Clemson, to back up his point, they could have Clemson, they could have Baylor, Oregon. What if they're paying, they get Notre Dame? What if Notre Dame's already in the ACC for basketball?
That's how you do it.
So here's the one thing that I'll say, right, is that I was talking to a player kind of activist, and one thing that he said is that historically, the biggest thing that's driven change in college athletics is competition, right? Doing things for the best for the kids, doing things that's best for the sport, that's not really what ultimately ends up making decisions. So here's the issue, is that I think that we're probably heading in a direction sort of like that. But the second that it happens with everybody else, the Big Ten and SEC are also going to do the same thing, right? Like, I think that they're going to be that reactive because, look, you think that Alabama or Ohio State is going to take that sitting down, right? The idea that these rich schools, these giant brands with infinite boosters are going to not kind of try to match that as well. So I think that ultimately that might be a move for them, but I think it's probably going to end up being all 5 of these conferences in one way or another break off from the NCAA and create some sort of compensation system. So I think it would maybe be a short-term winner, but I think that the Big Ten and SEC will happily step up and take that challenge.
So, Sean, think about this because I'm just thinking about something you just said and something Bull just said. There's a way here because, and it's through basketball. So everyone needs to know that the NCAA now funds all of his other sports besides football through the NCAA basketball tournament. That money for that month run is all these sports are paid for through that NCAA basketball tournament. So if you form this power basketball conference and leverage it against what you just saw in the SEC and the Big Ten, because they'll be and leave them out of the mix, you can get their attention. Right?
Yeah.
They need the money for the basketball side to pay for everything else. And that's the one thing when I look across the board, and I hadn't thought about the Clemsons and the Notre Dames.
Right.
There's some power out here, but the group would have to coalesce together and then figure out how to leverage it. But
all 3 would have to come together.
Yes, they would have to come together.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, and I think that long term, one of the biggest questions is going to be with those really powerful ACC brands that are left, especially on the football side, with Clemson, Florida State, Miami. I think you could throw Virginia Tech in there, the North Carolina schools. What happens next with them? Are they clamoring to get out? And does the SEC or Big Ten want them? I think that that's going to be such a huge part of that, especially because, like you said, I mean, Duke and North Carolina both play in the ACC, of course. These are 2 of the premier basketball brands in the country. Kansas basketball you throw into that. Arizona you throw into that. And so, yeah, I do think that they could have a real stranglehold on the basketball side of things and have some swing on that side if they want it. The question is, again, I mean, for television networks, what is the value, right? What is the value from their perspective? Are you willing to be competitive with some of the contract offers that you're giving out with obviously the football side for the Big Ten and the SEC with potentially this level of strength on the basketball side? Yeah. That's an existential question, I think. But, if you are one of these 3 other leagues, maybe that's the kind of chance you need to take.
Shehan, let's talk a little Ohio State real quick. You look at C.J. Stroud, Travion Henderson, Jackson Smith-Njigba. Is this team going to score 90 or 100 points a game this year?
They're going to score a lot, no doubt about it. And I think that, when I look at the state of college football right now, anything other than an Alabama-Ohio State national title game would be a real shock to me. I think that these 2 teams are a head and shoulders better than everybody else. You mentioned, obviously, all those playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. This is going to be one of the best offenses we've seen in a while. All 3 of those guys, Travion Henderson will be back for another year, but all 3 of these guys are going to be first-round picks at some point in the NFL draft. They've got a great offensive line. The big question comes on the defensive side of the ball. They bring in defensive coordinator Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State, who coordinated one of the 5 best defenses in the country last year. So if he can get things up to speed quickly, and he is a master of adjustments, he's a master of fitting his personnel, I think that Ohio State has a chance to have one of its best teams ever.
It's high praise because they've been pretty darn good in the past. Shehan, is any coach in the country who hasn't won a national championship yet under more pressure this year than Ryan Day is?
No, I mean, I think that this is going to be in some ways a make or break season for him. Obviously, look, he's been so successful. It's not like he's going to get fired or anything like that. But I think that this is sort of the moment where he needs to take that next step and win that national championship. Because right now, I mean, look, he had 2 years of Justin Fields where they went to the playoff both years. They played a national championship game. But last year was a disappointment. There's no way about it, right? I mean, to get run over the way that they did in the game, the way that obviously they only ended up in the Rose Bowl and missed the playoff, I think that's a disappointment. And to come back this upcoming year, right? You've got the best wide receiver in the country in Jackson Smith-Njigba. You've got the potential #1 overall pick in C.J. Stroud. You've got so much talent on both sides of the ball. This is kind of the moment that you need to say, hey, look, obviously things have progressed since Urban Meyer, and obviously Ohio State's in a great position to be nationally competitive, but you have to win the big one, right? I mean, for so long, Ohio State was the school that was right there on the cusp of things and struggled to win the big one. I think this is the moment where it needs to happen.
Well, I want to talk really quickly. There's a couple of teams I'm always disappointed in. Michigan just got around to being back good, right? But the way the Miami program is looking, it's looking horrible. Florida State hasn't looked good at all. But the team I'm most disappointed in overall is Texas. Now, Texas is supposed to be the big enchilada. They should be getting every top 5 recruit out of Texas. No shade to Texas Tech and College Station, but they should be getting everybody. I think they got an opportunity to bring that back. You got Quinn Ewers, and they just got Manning. Both those guys are going to get a ton of money, ton of dollars. Does one of those quarterbacks, first of all, who's going to start this year, right? And then does one of those quarterbacks actually lead Texas back to becoming a power, especially moving into the SEC?
I think they've done so many things right off the field, right? Quinn Ewers coming in, of course. Obviously, there was so much talk about him when he transferred from Ohio State. And since they got Arch Manning, they've actually got 10 commits, 2 5-stars. They're up to the #3 or #2 class in the country right now. So there's a lot of excitement around the program. I think that Arch Manning and Quinn Ewers both kind of give Steve Sarkisian a fresh slate. But here's the one thing that I'll say, right? All this sounds nice because you can forget that they went 5-7 last year. And ultimately, if they don't manage to capitalize on what they're supposed to do this upcoming year, I mean, they're the favorites to win the Big 12 after missing a bowl game last year, right? The expectations are going to be off the charts. And ultimately, Steve Sarkisian has not coached a team in his 7 seasons that's finished with fewer than 4 losses, excuse me. So this is a team that I think needs to have a breakout moment. They need to push for 10 wins because ultimately, if you do all this stuff right off the field and don't have results, I don't think this stuff keeps going on.
Shehan, excellent insight. We appreciate the time. Next time we want some dirt on Mikey McNuggets. We'll have more time for that. We appreciate you taking the time. We'll talk to you again. Thank you.
Have a good one, Shehan.
Thank you so much for having me.
You got it. You got it. All right, it is time now for Ask the Show. Let's send it to Anthony. Anthony, what do you got?
Yeah, and as always, whenever we bring a guest on, don't forget, guys, that's brought to you by Gridiron Guys. Call 330-573-7967 today for a free estimate or roof inspection. And as always, when we ask the internet anything,
Gridiron Guys.
Thank you both. I appreciate it. I needed that. All right. So, whenever we ask the internet anything, we go to PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with a career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. And all locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 an hour and up. Plus, get a full benefit package, paid time off, and signing bonus. Apply on time at precast.com/careers to learn more. Let's go PCC.
PCC.
Signing bonus. Stop playing around. Go get you that signing bonus, dog.
Of course, Ask the Show is something that started on my radio show years ago. We've transferred it here to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and what it is a chance for you to ask us or about anything about the show, about the staff, about anything, sex, drugs, rock and roll, except for sports and politics. You want to hear about the Brett's sex life when he was playing in the league? Well, he'll give you every last detail.
But you have to send us an email.
I didn't
and
pick
ask.
that tweet.
Maybe not. But
Ridiculous. Keep going.
I think I made Brett turn red. Let's go. What's the
All right,
first
we can
question?
take the first one here, Steve. If you could have a drink with any celebrity, musician, who would it be?
Mine would have to be Bill Murray. That's from Scuba Steve. Very, very good. Guys, if you could have a drink with any celebrity or musician, who would it be?
You want me to start?
Go ahead, Mike. Yeah.
Come on.
I'm going to take one that I know Brad's done. And Michael Jordan. I just want to hear the stories that
That'd
Jordan
be boring
has.
for Brad. He's done it a long
No,
time.
this is my choice. This isn't Brad's choice.
Right.
I've heard stories about, well, I don't know if I can even say that, but Brad may know Michael Jordan off the court a little bit too, and it sounds like he'd be a good time and a good person to hang out with, and I'd learn a lot.
You have a good time. Guaranteed you'll get that. I'm going with Tony Braxton.
Tony
Braxton. Oh, got to. I'm gonna follow Tony Braxton.
If that's the way we want to go.
That's where I'm going. I'm going. You said a musician?
Yeah,
I'm going
a
Tony Braxton.
musician? Wow, man. Man, did this person have to be alive?
No,
No.
not necessarily.
Hey, man, give me Michael Jackson. Reincarnate Michael
good
Jackson,
choice.
bring him back. Good.
Just not
grace.
when you're a kid.
Yeah, I got yeah. God. You see what we did there?
No, you see what Bull did there.
I'm not
Don't-
saving you guys.
Don't
for this one.
yeah,
You
don't
just
put
keep-
that
Thank
on
you
us.
so much.
I'm leaning over.
Is that
Leaning over.
Is that more cringeworthy than G's comment about Kareem Hunt the other day? Which is
Nobody
Stop.
caught
which
that.
is more cringeworthy?
Nobody caught that. That was in
No, let's
subtitles.
keep this
Next.
Times that I caught it.
Next.
Oh my God!
All right, so next
wait a
one.
second. I didn't answer the question.
You
for
lost
crying out
lost
loud.
the ability with
Billy
that
Joel,
comment.
baby.
Mike
That's-
McNuggets is saying you lost.
No, I'm going with Billy Joel. That's
Billy
my
Joel,
choice.
okay.
Yeah. All right, Brownstown Andy. You want to read it or you want me to read it?
I'll go for it, Bull.
All right, if you could attend one fictional sport, this is a sports question technically, but I guess not. Fictional sporting event. What would it be? A fictional sporting event. What would it be?
I'll be winning these. Mine's is Quidditch. I'm going to go to
I've seen Quidditch
Harry.
live.
I want Harry, but I want this fictional. I need to see you flying, not walking around on the brooms like that's pause. Don't be walking around with your grown man with
Did
a
you
broom.
see the movie The Intern with Vince Vaughn and
Yes.
Owen Wilson
Yes.
where they're doing that? They're
Yes.
running around
Don't
with
do
it?
that.
That's a real
No,
thing.
It's got to be real.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
got to be real. I
Real
want to
flying.
see, real
Yeah.
broomsticks
That's a
that
good
fly.
one.
That's the best one. No one can top that.
You know the Jedi races in Star Wars? I
Yeah.
forget what- that would
Pod
be
racing.
my answer though.
That's good.
It's pod racing there for you.
pod racing, yeah, pod racing.
That's good.
That's my answer.
I like that.
You better go ahead, because you lost me.
I'll tell you what. I will take
Fiction.
I will take from the movie. Did you guys see the movie Gladiator?
Yeah.
Yes. Remember when you see the guys and they're fighting? They're like fighting each other to the death, and there's tigers out there on chains and stuff. That'd be I'd be going to. That's a sporting event like Rome and the
Roman
1600s.
gladiators?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Do you want me?
badass.
Can I give Brad
Yeah,
one?
please do, because
I like the
I'm fiction. I don't
Space Jam, the Looney Tunes versus the
Man,
Monstars.
come on.
I don't think it had to be a made-up sport.
You see how the-
fictional
when you
sporting
play
event.
when you play at the highest level, you be like, I ain't gonna be talking about no fake sport. I'm doing some real life. What y'all talking about?
I played in the Palace. Like, I don't need
come
your
on.
fiction.
Hey, come on now.
All right.
Decline the comment.
Okay, number 3. George B. tweets, not counting the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, most fun job you've ever had and worst job you've ever had.
G. Bush, you've had a lot of jobs. What do we
Man,
start?
I done worked a lot of jobs,
Yeah.
man. I done worked on. My worst job is working on the sanitation department. You don't know how many houses on a block till you go to every house on a block.
Yeah.
Shout out to them dudes. They do their job. I think the fun show. Hey, I got a radio show. I do it the barber shop. So I have fun doing that all the time. Make sure you listen in 8 to 12 every Saturday on 92 through the fan. Stop playing with me.
This question I can answer. So the best job I ever had has probably been mayor for almost 12 years now of a city, and shepherding a group in after that. So that is probably the most rewarding.
Hold on, you've been 12 years?
Almost.
So don't they got
there's no term
limits?
limit?
No.
Brad gonna die up in the office.
No.
You ain't catching me.
And the worst job I ever had was I was in high school. I used to bake donuts at the donut shop in the summertime. I used to go at 3 in the morning and make these donuts.
What?
Right?
Time to make the donuts.
Oh man, I used to come out smelling like donut, and then like for years you couldn't even show me a donut.
You didn't- no parts of it.
donut. You know, they
Yeah.
sell donuts in high school like for a quarter.
Yeah.
No donut. Don't
Wow,
make a donut.
that's crazy.
It's not my worst job, but I have a story. I used to busboy, and they used to give coleslaw to every table.
Okay.
And no one would touch it. No one wants coleslaw as an appetizer. They always ask for bread. And we have to throw out pounds and pounds and pounds. I can't look at coleslaw to
can't
this
do it.
day. My worst job, though, Bull, you can relate to this.
Yeah.
Being a Little League umpire in the middle of summer when it's 1,000 degrees out. You got parents yelling at you. I'm making like $7 an hour. I threw a parent out once.
Ooh.
He lived across the street. He went
Yeah.
across the street, kept yelling at me.
Oh, did you?
That's terrible.
Yeah.
There's no fun in that.
I'm gonna discount all my radio jobs. I mean, for the past 20 years, I've been either working in radio or now doing this. So I'm gonna discount my radio jobs for I'm gonna go my most fun and my most hated job before I got into the entertainment industry. So 25 and younger. My least favorite job, and there's a lot of them because I worked some awful jobs. I worked at Taco Bell. I worked at Pizza Hut. I worked at a restaurant called Seniors in Brooklyn, which was awful. I was like one of 3 people under the age of 80 working there. I I'm going to make bread turn red again, but I did sleep with a significantly older woman at that time. That was a nice job out of me.
How significant?
I was like,
did she have a senior
I
citizen
was
discount
like,
card?
no, but I was
He got the
like,
handicap parking spot.
I was about 20 at the time, and she was in her 40s.
Hey, look at
I
you,
was,
Bo.
you know, and then it ended.
Raging Bull.
It ended when in the morning she wanted to introduce me to her 17-year-old son. I'm like, I'm 3 years older than him. He's gonna hate my guts. I don't get the hell out of here.
Did you hear him over here?
What?
He said,
Yep, we're canceled again.
said raging
Twice a
bull.
month.
Canceled again. I'm talking about sleeping with an older woman.
You
was
know,
a nice lady.
You got right to the. I used to date an
I don't
older
remember
woman.
her name. But she was nice.
She was 40.
She didn't remember it
We
either.
got-
She was 40 and
She
I was
certainly
like
don't remember
20,
my name.
20 something.
Was it
You
Mrs.
got-
Robinson?
Yeah, I might have been. It
I
could
thought
have
you
been.
said something else.
You thought was it Sue
You
Robinson?
guys,
Is that
stop
you were
it.
saying?
Stop. We're not going.
My most favorite job pre-entertainment industry was when I was a senior in high school. I worked at Medejo's Video. Now, for you young people,
Never heard
there
of
used to actually be things
Never
called
heard
a
of it either.
video store, you know, where
Yeah,
you would
true.
go in and rent a movie. Even G's old enough for that.
Yeah.
Certainly Brad's old
Yeah,
enough for that.
absolutely.
And I worked at Medejo's Video when I was a senior in high school. And I was supposed to actually be in school. I was doing the executive internship program. What a joke that was. My senior year in high school. So I was supposed to spend the entire day doing my internship. But what I did was I did my internship like 2 days a week, and the other 3 days I worked at the video store and got paid. And plus, the video store was so dead during the day that there. And in those days, we had a whole porn section down in the bottom, and I would, like nobody's watched porn. I mean, I would lock up the store and watch porn.
Hold on. He said he was
Put the kids away for now.
We're putting the bars back up.
The executive
He
intern.
said he was an executive intern.
That's what it was called.
At the Blockbuster.
No.
How you gonna lock the doors? Ain't nobody getting in here.
Yeah.
It's me time.
First of all, it was called the executive internship program. I was working for a college radio station. That was my executive internship. I did it twice a week. I worked at the video store. It wasn't a Blockbuster,
We thought
though.
you
It
was
wasn't a fancy schmancy Blockbuster.
We
And
thought you was
Blockbuster
executive-
sucks.
we thought-
Blockbuster didn't have any porn, so you wouldn't want to go to Blockbuster.
Executive intern.
And by the way, I got the only time I've ever been near a gun in my life. I got held up at gunpoint at the video store by a guy I knew.
In Brooklyn.
He was a drug in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn.
He was a drug addict. He came in. It was some guy. He asked me for money.
Look in Brooklyn, surprising.
Right? Right. He came in there, asked me for money. I told him I couldn't lend him any money. He came back an hour later with a gun. And stole all the money.
Brooklyn known as Crooklyn, but anyway.
Come on now.
There's something
You're dissing my
extra
borough.
entertaining about a 7-footer laughing, by the way. About seeing a 7-footer be just like us.
That was outstanding.
Anthony,
That was
who
I
outstanding.
was gonna
canceled
say,
yet?
my best and worst job I've worked
Yes.
before this was Cinemark in Valley View here in Cleveland. It got free movies,
Yeah.
and we also had a riot and had to kick everybody out one night and lock the doors.
Oh, I
yeah,
remember
I
that.
remember
Not
that.
too long ago.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember how it started. The
Yeah.
only thing I remember is walking into the lobby and seeing a German Shepherd jump over the concession stand.
That was
as
2 or
some
3
people-
years
as
ago.
The cops rushed everybody.
Yeah,
out.
that was scary.
I was leaving broadcasting the cabs coming across the bridge. And I saw all these cop cars down
Yeah.
at Cinemark down
I was
there.
down there for that, Brad. They told me I had to go sweep the outside when everybody was done getting arrested.
It was unbelievable. I was like,
What are they
what's
putting in
going
that popcorn, man? There's bad stuff in that popcorn.
It was
All
wild.
right.
All right, next
What's the
question, guys.
Here we go. Let's get serious now. All right, R. Escobar tweets, besides Cleveland, where's another city you like being in Ohio? Only in Ohio? It's a pretty restrictive question, but okay.
I would say, I live in Canton, but I would go with Columbus. Columbus is a nice area. You know what I'm saying? They 614, shout out to them. Got a lot of surrounding areas, decent malls, decent, eatery. You can do a lot of different things. And they got a highway to hit everywhere, right? Right in a circle, right? You know what I'm saying? So you can hit everything, all the Westervilles, Olentangies, all that good stuff. I say Columbus.
Brad?
And I take Cincinnati. Cincinnati, I think, has done a fabulous job really remaking itself downtown, over the Rhine, OTR, as they know it down there, taking a bad area and turning it into a very positive area. And I think the things that have gone on in metropolitan Cincinnati, I think, have to be one marveled in this state. And I have enjoyed, because one of my daughters is close to Cincinnati. It has been just a good place to be around.
Mike, have you been to any other cities?
I was telling Anthony before the show, my city knowledge of Ohio goes Cleveland, Parma, Columbus. and everything in between is either just Parma or Cleveland.
I mean, if
or
we're counting
Columbus.
Parma,
So-
Rocky River is technically a city, too.
I have never been to Parma. I
Yeah.
just know because Anthony's from Parma that
Right.
it exists. So I'm going to say Parma without ever stepping foot in Parma.
Wow,
That's a terrible
I didn't
answer.
even know
Somebody
Parma
who
was
was born and
technically a
raised
city.
there.
I guess it feels like everything. I mean, I've never been to Cincinnati, believe it or not. I've never been to Toledo. I've never been to Dayton. I have been to Columbus twice. The first time was years and years ago when I met a girl online, never seen her, and we got together. I just put it all out there.
He lays it out on the
Yeah.
What year was this online? What
This
year?
was early 2000s, I think.
Ooh, that online wasn't even.
It was like AOL stuff. That's AOL chat room
that
stuff.
was
You know
cra-
that.
that was
You were
crazy.
getting busy in AOL
Nah,
chat rooms.
I didn't have. We had internet
Oh,
like
you were a
that.
kid. Yeah, you were a kid.
We had internet like that.
No, I didn't have internet till I was in my 30s. but-
We had the little box thing where you could get you got a little Cinemax every
Oh,
other
yeah.
once in a
Or
blue
Wilmette
moon.
Go Home Theater.
Yeah,
Remember Wilmette Go Home Theater?
Little joint like, but other than that, you
But I
didn't
hooked
get
up
that
with a
all.
chick. I'll tell you that. I'll be honest. I hooked up with her. And so, and I've only been to Canton to go to Dustin Fox's house because G. Bush hasn't invited me to his house yet.
How far of a drive is it?
His
to
parents'
Canton
house.
every day?
Yeah, you mean my parents?
No,
house.
he don't live in Canton. He lives in Lakewood.
I live in Lakewood
Oh,
in
okay,
an
yeah.
apartment.
His
That's
parents'
okay.
house,
Yeah,
though.
like-
I haven't been
Gotcha,
invited.
gotcha.
You wanted to go to the palatial estates in Canton.
I do.
See, shout out to my mom. Look, mom. Bull says he want to come over and she'll feed you good.
I know.
Feed-
I believe
feed
that.
him extra. He's supposed to take this L in his way, little competition. Yeah, come on, anytime you want to come on down there. They will have you there, you and your son and your wife.
Yes,
You can all hang out.
we're in. All right, next question, Anthony.
All right, next one coming up. Bull and G, 10 minutes on the clock. Who's putting down more hot dogs? And are either of you putting your bun in the water?
I don't
That
know, man.
sounds
I'm not a. I could,
Wait,
but I'm
before
not
you
a big
answer,
hot
could-
dog guy.
Could Brad and I predict first who would win?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm taking G. Bush.
Yeah, I think.
I think you're a slow eater.
Oh, I'm not a slow eater.
Oh no! When we go out, I'm the slowest eater.
Yeah.
Like he waits. He's just like, "Are you done yet?"
I finished my
done
whole
yet?
slime and sandwich. He was only halfway done.
Oh, then my money's on Bull then.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
some.
I don't-
But
He's
I
not
don't
gonna
love
dip it-
hot dogs.
He ain't gonna dip it in water though.
I'm not putting nothing in water. Zero.
I would
That's
do. I
disgusting.
mean, that is gross, but
I'm never doing that. So-
now we have a pizza eating competition or shrimp or
I'm taking you- I'm
dumplings.
taking you in that one.
I'm killing anybody except
Chestnut?
for Joey Chestnut.
Yeah.
I would take you on a shrimp eating contest. I like shrimp.
I can eat like a fat. I had my wife brought home like a pound of shrimp yesterday. I think I ate the whole thing in 5 minutes.
I'm allergic to shellfish.
Might have been 2 pounds. I don't know.
So I do have.
Maybe I retract my statement.
I have an EpiPen with me. So if I eat something I ain't supposed to, y'all
Grab
just
the
supposed to
pen.
know.
All shellfish?
Yeah, all of them.
Oh, that
just
sucks.
stab me in the neck. But you know them things is like $300 now.
Oh,
or
it's so
something.
Is
expensive.
it in the neck or is it in the arm?
In the thigh. In the thigh. You get me in the thigh.
I mean, shellfish to me is like you would shoes. Like you spend your money on shoes, I spend my money on shellfish.
Works. We got selective morality. Some people spend money on food, and some people spend it on clothes.
All right, we got one more or no?
We do have one more. This
Okay.
one's specifically for G. Do you do house calls for makeup?
Ooh,
Whoa.
And G, this
that's
is
some Jennifer.
Clay Matthews'
this is,
daughter.
and she's coming on the show next Thursday.
Yeah.
She will be on next Thursday.
I will. I'd have to bring my lovely wife with me, but she'll come up. She follow. By the way, she follows me and tapes me everywhere. So yeah, she's my
gosh.
assistant at. But yeah, I do house calls. I got eyebrows. I've been trying to really work on different skin tones and foundations because it is when you have darker skin tones, it's a little bit different. So, but I'm ready to go, man.
I have breaking news that you're supposed to handle Bree's eyebrows at some point.
Yeah, we got
Really?
the stencils. Let me know when we bring the stencils in. You
She's
got
them.
them?
She's ready.
Hey, listen. Nowadays, the sorcery is easy now. Before, shout out to all the women that was doing it in the 70s and the 80s because they had the regular makeup. Now they got all kind of sorcery. They got the little stamp stuff. They got you can just put it on right now and they'll have you fooled. And by the way, I learned from a guy who looked like you. Like, there's a guy I learned like how to do makeup. He was like, let me just show you how good makeup can work. And he looked like you, and then 5 minutes later, he looked like Bree. And so, I was like, his makeup tutorials is lit.
So you're in for Jennifer Matthews.
Yeah,
The
we'll
bottom
take it.
line.
Yeah, well, I'm in.
I got a couple of rapid fire ones as well. Additional questions that I have on my Twitter. Guys, if you could change anything about the way you were, this is from Keith Williams. If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be? Anybody have an answer for that? If you could change anything about the way I was raised.
Man, I got to ask.
What would it
Brian.
be?
I'll give you this, man. Shout
Go
out to my mom. So my mom and dad back in the day, man, that we went to like camp, and I went to white schools predominantly, and so I went to camp. And back at the time, it was starter coach was in, right? Starter coach was in, and I remember getting this starter coat and going to camp, and I'm looking around and I'm like, yo, I'm about to wear this starter coat. This gonna be crazy. But my mom didn't understand it. It wasn't really camp. It was like you was inside buildings. You wasn't outside camping on the ground. So they didn't know. The black folks, we ain't never been camping. She thinking outside. So she sent me there. She went to the Goodwill and got me this Parker coat. But it was a Chicago Bull coat, right? Okay. Oh. And it was a JV one. Oh. It had no name brand or nothing. And the Chicago Bull was deformed. The horn went right. The eye was kind of crooked, and it was one of them band jackets with the zipper on the hood that zipped down. And she told me when I came in the house, she told me that I couldn't wear my Jacksonville Jaguar starter coat, and she brought this in and said, but I got you this. And I argued with her and cried, and she said, "You not about to go down there and destroy that jacket." I said, "Mom, we ain't outside like that. We ain't putting fires out in logs." She's like, "No, you gonna wear this." Man, I went there and I sat in the corner. It was a dance there. They had dances, they had girls. It was everybody there. And I couldn't, the coat was so big and ugly, I couldn't tuck it away. It was huge. I couldn't even take it off. And I just sat in the corner and took an L for the whole week.
We'll cap him when he lost and he was talking about the horns was deformed on the bull, right? So,
that Chicago.
Well, let me just ask you a question.
Yeah.
One thing I would say, because I love the way, I appreciate the way my parents raised my brother and I. But the one thing I would change is this. In my household, my father was from deep South Alabama, and they had their own way of thinking, cures when you were sick.
Oh, yeah.
So anytime anybody got sick in the house, right? So you had to be very cognizant. Don't walk around here coughing, right? You start coughing.
You know what you're
gonna
gonna
get.
get.
Coughing like this.
You know what you're getting.
Trying to hold it in, hold your breath. You know what he would go to the cabinet and pull out his favorite. It would be castor oil.
That castor oil, and let me tell you something, and this is how, if you know, we got to have a section, if you know, you know. They pull out that castor oil, and it don't mix with nothing. It go down slow. Here it is. Come on, it clear all that up out your chest. What? No, I'm not taking that. It don't go away.
Oh, no.
You can't drink water after that. You can't drink.
I walk by in the pharmacy now, in CVS. And I get shivers. Like,
Did y'all used to have liniment?
Oh, yeah.
JD, what is it called? JD Watkins?
Yeah, that's what
I don't even know what's in that JD Watkins. My grandma, come over here, let me put some on your neck. I got done with 2 days. Well, your neck hurts.
Oh, it's the worst.
Bro, you can't wash it out.
It's the worst.
You can't wash it out.
The worst.
If you know, you know. Put it in the comment section.
Mike, anything you changed from your childhood?
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny full circle story. When I was growing up, we never had snacks in the house. My parents were anti-snackers. So I turned into like a binge snacker. So if there was cookies, they'd be gone real quick.
I'm disrespecting them.
I have no self-control when it comes to chips, crackers, snacks. Anthony knows, Bree knows. If there's something, I'm gonna eat it. I can't help myself.
Yeah.
We just grew up like
and
that.
it really shows on your stomach there.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't have snacks in my house now because
You know you can't
I can't control myself. Well, it's funny because my dad flew in this morning.
Oh, why did he come to the broadcast?
I don't know,
He
actually.
should've pulled
He's
up.
at my apartment. He was supposed to come in, but he went to the
What
apartment.
happened?
And he texted me he's hungry. And guess what's funny?
No snack.
No snacks.
I got no damn snacks in the house, Pops.
Yeah,
So I don't know what he's doing for food.
Like,
It's a bad job out of
But
you
now
not providing for your dad.
Well, I thought he was coming in. We were going to get lunch, and he decided to go straight to the
the
apartment.
hell?
So, yeah, Pops, where you at?
boy, I tell you, boy, what you got?
Mine is food related too. Like I grew up, it was all women, right? Like my dad was around, but my parents got divorced when I was in high school, so then he was kind of out of the mix after that. And just as I was a kid, wherever I was the only boy on one side of my family, and so we'd go to these family get-togethers, and always was like, let Adam eat, give him more food, and all the girls were not eating, and it was like, give Adam more food. Yeah. And so like I developed bad eating habits. Because they always wanted me.
Right.
That's a big thing in Jewish families. It's like, eat more. And I was the boy. So
we know. Black people and Jewish people a lot.
Very similar.
It's offensive. Boy, if you don't get in here and get some of this food.
Right.
I already ate, Grandma.
Yeah,
no, you ain't. You ain't eat enough.
Next question. Machine Gun Kenna tweets.
I like the name.
Which one of you have the hairiest back? I'm going to say that's probably me.
Easy money.
Yeah, that's probably me. I'm very hairy.
Easy.
And final question. I had one more good one that I wanted to read. This was from.
That was a good one.
I think it's, I guess it's not that good, but Steven tweets, who would win an arm wrestling contest, G. Bush or me? I'm gonna go with G. Bush. He's got me beat right now.
My right.
He's a younger man.
My right elbow.
He's stronger right now. I was a good arm wrestler back in the day.
His elbow's all messed up though. Isn't it?
I'm a lefty.
Screwed up. Yeah.
I was a good arm wrestler back in the day.
If we wrestle with our left hand, and my joint ain't no good. I'm actually fool's gold to be truthful.
Do you think I can take you with left hand?
I'm fool's gold. If y'all mess with me, I'm filing a lawsuit.
All right. I gave you the win. I don't know. I don't think I can take you. I've
been trying to fall in Tegna for weeks.
All right, and that's Ask the Show. Anthony, good job out of you. It's time for final takes, fellas. Mikey McNuggets, your first ever final take. You're up.
Yeah, so we were going to talk about Brittany Griner, and then Brad said he was going to do Brittany Griner.
Yeah.
So
Good. Glad you're bringing that up.
Yeah, well,
I'm glad Brad's
Brad,
bringing
do you want
that
to do
up.
it or should I take it?
Listen.
I'll take it. You know what?
I'll play off.
Listen, we saw the news yesterday. Brittany Griner pleaded guilty in Russia to having a marijuana pen, and it's the first step in the process of bringing her back to the United States.
Absolutely.
And it's a necessary step, and
Absolutely.
it's a travesty that she's been over there for, I think, 130 days now. I remember the day the news broke that she was detained in Russia because it was the first day I ever visited Cleveland. I hadn't accepted this job yet. I was walking down 9th Avenue to WKYC Studios. 9th Street, excuse me. I'm still learning.
You learn. You get there.
And I saw the push alert, and I go, wow, this is absurd. And to think of how much has passed in my life from that day to right now, and this process is only really just beginning. Bring Brittany Griner home. I understand that there's political tensions, and Russia is Russia, and they don't get along. But it is an absurdity that American citizens been over there for 140-something days now over marijuana, and it hasn't happened faster. Bring Brittany Griner home. Whatever has to happen, get her back. It's insane that it's taking this long.
And I will say this because I'm going to do my take, but I will just say I want people to remember that is somebody's child.
That's right? A disgrace that she is still there.
That is somebody's child, and be aware there are other Americans that are being held in other parts of the world too that need to be addressed. But so when people are making these fly comments out here, just be aware that is somebody's child. That girl is over there scared. She's scared.
That's a disgrace. And I saw comments from people because she kneeled for the national anthem for good reason, that people were like, well, she doesn't like America, so screw her. You're an idiot. Putin is a criminal. He's a horrible human being. He's, we all know what's going on in Ukraine is despicable and disgusting. And and Biden, I don't know enough about how you get somebody back in this situation. But Biden, you're the president. Let's go. Get it done. Get her home.
So my take on it was going to be for Brittany Griner, but Mikey took it, which is fine. And so let me switch because I heard something today, and I just want the city of Cleveland to be aware, right? And other places around the country that have these professional football teams. I see the Chicago Bears, and the city of Chicago have been going at odds about the Bears and the Bears Stadium, Soldier Field, as we know. Soldier Field is located downtown. They built a number of things around downtown. If you've been to downtown Chicago, you know it is a place, an economic hub, and they drive all their business as much as they can towards downtown Chicago. Well, the Bears have threatened the city of Chicago that if they don't get a new stadium, their lease on life at Soldier Field, they feel is done. They have purchased some 300 some odd acres, I believe, out in Arlington Heights, Illinois, which is about 40 minutes northwest of downtown Chicago. And I saw yesterday that the city of Chicago, the dynamics have changed because I think the city had postured that there was going to be some type of, they weren't participating in anything. Well, I see the city's taking a new position that their stance is like, hold on, let's look at downtown Chicago and Soldier Field. We're willing to put a dome on Soldier Field. We're willing to do AstroTurf inside and a number of other things to keep them in downtown Chicago. And I would just say this, that I think that stance is going to be played out more and more as new stadiums are built around here, that these cities are going to start to understand that these new owners, it's not these old owners. The new owners are like, either we get the newest and latest and greatest, or we're going to go somewhere where it is, right? And so they're willing to, if you tell me that the Bears are willing to go to from downtown Chicago to suburban Chicago, I want the city of Cleveland to be very aware of what's going on here, because I see the comments that are popping up here about Browns and Brown Stadium, whether it stays on the lakefront or something else. But these are the discussions that are coming this way, and I just want the city to be aware. And if you don't believe me, I used to be a Seattle Supersonic. You go to the city of Seattle and ask the city of Seattle and its people feel, how about when the city and the Sonics got into that war about who was going to be where and who's there. The city of Seattle is still there, and the Sonics are long gone.
Man, he's plugged in. He be knowing he know all the maps in Chicago too.
He's the mayor
Cleveland
for a
and
reason,
Chicago. Here's everywhere, man. I'm gonna give a shout out to the people out there. You don't know how many people I run across on my regular day, right? That just say, G. Bush, yo, hey man, I love y'all show, man. I love the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, man. I watch it every single day. You don't know how many DMs I get. You don't know how many people leave me voicemails. I don't even know who they is. They just say, look, man, I just love what y'all do, man. And it's a testament. When I started this situation, I didn't know what it was going to be. I knew Adam, but I never had a chance to work with Bull like that. Jay, Brad, everybody. But when I got here, like after the first week, I said, oh, this is going to be great. But see, you can say it's going to be great, but the people validate you. The people tell you what is great and what ain't great. And I've had such a warm embrace, and the numbers show it. You know, when you look at what we're doing as far as subscribers, when you look at what we're doing as far as the views, as far as the watch time and the hours, that's just not something that I'm proud of for me. I'm proud of it for the entire industry, because there's so long that people have been on the sidelines waiting to get their opportunity, waiting to get their shot, waiting to have a voice, a different message, and they ain't getting them. They ain't getting them an opportunity. So this show is an extension for everybody out there. The young broadcasters at the Ohio Center of Broadcasting or Ohio Media School, the young guys from Cleveland State, the young guys from BW, the guys that want to write, the guys that want to produce, to be on air. This is an opportunity, because what I'm hoping is that people out there, the community embraces it, sponsors embrace it, and then it gives other opportunities for people to do exactly what we're doing today. And I want all y'all to be as successful as we are right now. But I'm going to tell you, thank you for making this thing a big-time situation. And we only got more to come, but it's only because of you guys.
Obviously, we all agree with those sentiments. I've had a bunch of people reaching out to me. Can I be an intern on the show? And we can't have interns, I don't think, right now.
Not yet. It's in the process. We're working on it. So
around.
Stay tuned. We've got a bunch of resumes actually emailed to us.
A lot of people want to be part of the show. We've got a lot of people.
And the cool part about it is, I ain't never heard this, and we'll let you get. When Steve said, "Nah, this is what I like," he said, "No, we're having nobody working for free." When you see people that show up on this show, they getting a check, and they deserve it. So long in this industry, you've been told you come to work for free.
Right.
That ain't what it's about. I commend them for that, and they've been doing that and staying on top of the game.
All right, guys, all good topics, but we got to hit an important issue here. Yesterday, I went to physical therapy. You know, I got to get in better shape. Of course, I followed up physical therapy by going to Mally's, a block away.
I love you both.
And while in Mally's, I got my their version of the Kit Kat. I can't think of it. It's just called like a Crunch Bar, which is much better than a Kit Kat. 1,000 times better than Kit Kat. Or really more like a Nestle's Crunch. But like, if a Nestle's Crunch was actually good, it would be this. Mally's, shout out to Mally's. Not paying me anything, but they have amazing chocolate.
I mean, it's right down the street. Right down the street.
It's incredible. So I'm in Mally's. Everything is great because I'm eating this delicious chocolate. Ooh, the little nougat.
And by yourself too. How you gonna be by yourself?
And by myself, yeah. All of a sudden, from behind me, this little girl screams like, I don't know what the hell happened. I'm like, oh my God! And I'm like turning around, and she's just playing with another little kid. And then her and her mom finally got her to shut the hell up. And then the mom is walking out with like 82 kids. And I'm thinking here, like, this brought me to a thing I brought up before. I know I'm going to piss some people off, but as you know, I don't really care. Here's the deal. I have one kid. That's an acceptable number. Some people don't like having an only child. You know, it's a challenge. But okay, you want to have 2 kids? That's pretty normal. Now, by the way, this only applies to people under the age of 60. If you're over 60, you could have 1,000 kids. I don't care. The things were different then. Doesn't matter. If really under the age of 50. If you're under the age of 50, and you have, like, 2 kids, good. That's a good number. 3 kids, that's solid. I got no problem with that. 4, we're pushing it. 4, we're pushing it, but I'm okay with that. If you have more than 4 kids, and you're under 50, you're out of line. You're out of line. 5 kids is too many kids.
Resources?
It's unacceptable. Most people don't have the money. It's the same group of people that are under the age of, especially 40, that have more than 4 kids. I'm not going to say what kind of people they are. I'll tell these guys off the air, because if I say it, then I'm really going to offend people. I'm not going to say that. But it's too many kids. It's inappropriate. I don't need your kid. I'm trying to walk out of Maui's and eat my chocolate and peace in the car. I don't need your 15 brats running around in front of me. And if you're going to have all those kids, keep them in line, so I don't have to step over them to get out of the door. What's the matter with you? Keep your kids under control is the bottom line of what I got to say here. Brad, you seem offended. You okay over there?
I'm stunned.
Why?
I don't know why. I just like listening to you here.
I got a problem with because I don't think anybody, like these stupid idiots on TV that have the Duggars, one of their kids is a rapist. I don't know what's going on. There's like 10 of them, 15 of them. I don't know. Too many kids is inappropriate. You guys don't agree? You guys are stunned. You don't even want to talk right now.
I will say.
I have no kids for the.
I have no kids, no children. I think somebody can have kids, and we'll split the difference. If I don't have 0 and they have 5, that means we have 2 and a half.
No, 5 is too many. If you're under 50 and you have 5 kids, you're too many.
Well,
you have 4, right?
I'm gonna say I've got 4, but I'm gonna
he's
say
4. That's the limit. But he's over 50, so it doesn't matter.
But here I had 4 before I was 50. So I will say this.
No. I'm saying it was a different generation.
No. But I'm saying
different.
here, I think that the kids play a place because later life, there's a workforce that's needed here. Whether you need your trash picked up, the ambulance to come.
We got too many kids out there.
No, because here, if you're out in the work world here, the workers are falling off. You don't have enough bodies to fill these slots.
Well, we're going to have enough bodies because now governments in a lot of states are forcing even rape victims to have kids.
Yeah,
now,
that's a different story. But I think there's a time and a place for everything. So, but I understand where you're going.
On that happy note, we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow it's
Monday.
Friday. What the hell am I talking about? We're off tomorrow. We'll be back Monday. I don't think Jay's back until Tuesday. So I'll be sitting in this chair. We'll be joined by Jason Lloyd in studio. Mikey McNuggets, you kicked back behind the glass. Great job by Anthony. Great job by Brianna behind the glass. Steve, you were mediocre today, but we'll let you get by.
Steve had to put up with me. He did a great job.
For G and Brad, we'll see you Monday right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.